Yo, 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 guess who's back? It's your boy Divine Sense Boxing back in the building. You guys know what time it is, man. It is Firestorm open panel fight prediction, final prediction, considering the fight is, I believe, tomorrow stateside. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to get our final predictions in. I got one esteemed guest in backstage right now waiting to be brought in, and we're going to have others filtering in throughout the night. We're probably going to have anywhere from at least an hour and a half to 2 hour show tonight, I hope, and hopefully get some good debates going on. I see the poll that I have in the current live stream as it is right now. Who do you got winning? And 47% are saying that it's going to be Spence by some type of stoppage. 41% says it's going to be Spence by decision. And we do have a small 12% saying, I think Ugas is going to pull out a decision in this one. So this may be interesting. I'm expecting most people to go for Spence. It makes sense. I'm a huge Spence fan myself. And if you guys didn't know, I recently put out a video about a couple weeks ago when I was back in the States of keys to victory of Spence versus Ugas. If you guys haven't watched that, as soon as you get done watching this live stream, if you got later time tonight, go back to my channel and watch Keys to Victory, Spence versus Ugas, where I actually break down both styles and give you guys my opinion on how I think the styles may play out in the fight. And the gym that I actually recorded that video in, I talked to a lot of boxers and coaches in that gym. I wish I would have recorded it, but I didn't. But there is actually a fair amount of people in that gym that actually thinks that Ugas is going to pull out a decision in this fight. Now, it's always different when you actually go into boxing gyms and then you're on YouTube, right? It's always different. I've always learned that during the years of me being involved talking about boxing, is people that have different opinions that are not always on YouTube, right? So the whole point of this, man, is to chop it up, go back and forth on why, Spence is going to win, why you think Ugas is going to win. And I'm guessing that the minority is going to be Ugas, right? So if there's any Ugas supporters out there, feel free to express why you think he's going to pull it off. I mean, this is the whole point. This is why we do this. We don't want to be an echo chamber, right? Don't just be quiet in the corner just because you're the minority, right? Have faith in Ugas. Have faith in him, right? He's in this position for a reason. So that's what we want to talk about. So first off, what I want to do is, as we continue to wait for a few more people to come in, I'll go ahead and bring in one of the guests that's currently backstage. Yeah, K-Rod, give me a moment, bro. I'll send it to you on IG. And somebody get this dude Jester out of here. There always got to be one. There always got to be one of them in here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show the weigh-in, which I haven't seen yet. I'm going to give you guys my reaction on the weigh-in and just let you guys know what I think about what their bodies look like, face off, whatever the energy may be. That'll give some time for other people to get the notifications to come into the conversation and also some of the other guests. So first, let me go ahead and bring in the first guest tonight, which is Plat Boy. Let me go ahead and spread this out a little bit. There we go. Plat Boy, what's good, bro?
What's going on, man? How you doing? How you doing?
Good, man. Good. Yeah. So if you guys don't know, Plat Boy is planning on going to the fight live with your brother. You said
Yeah. My brother.
nice. Yeah. So he's going to be at the fight live. He plans to take a lot of different type of footage, and of course, he said that he'll send some of that to me, which I can share to you guys later on, which will be ringside, obviously, and that'll be pretty cool, man. And I'm really looking forward to that. What kind of seats have you gotten?
I'm first level. The first rows over the floor seats, so we got a pretty good vantage point that night.
Nice. Yo, G5, check your Instagram. You got a link to this panel, bro. So go to Instagram, check your DMs, and click on in, bro. We're waiting for you. Yeah. So SM, I see you, bro. Let me go give a couple shout outs, man. I've been kind of blabbering on here as an introduction and forget some of the people up in here, man. We got Mangus Allen in the building, Jay Smooth, one of the first two in the building, Mike Biggs Boxing. Mike Biggs Boxing has a channel himself. Make sure y'all go subscribe to Mike Biggs. He's got great content over there. The Chosen One was good. 7006 or Meta was good, bro. Good to see you. We got my man WJ Luckett, a guy who's been around the channel for quite a while. Yave also in the building. And if anybody, there's Deanna. Deanna coming up in here. Perfect. And we also got Dawn in here. So we're starting to get a crowd of people start to pile in. That's what we want to see. That's what we want to be about. And yeah, G5, like I said, man, check your Instagram. So what I'm going to do now is get this up on the screen. All right. So this is the weigh-in, right? So like I said, I haven't watched this yet. And this is what I'd like to do, as you guys know, is to, I'm going to bring that out real quick. All right. So this is what I like to do: give you guys my authentic, kind of on the spot reaction to the weigh-in. I always wait, right? When everybody's jumping and chopping at the bit to see the weigh-ins, I hold back and I wait because I know I'm going to go live to give my reaction. So that's what I'm going to do. I know that they both made weight, but I don't know, like I said, what their bodies look like, what other energy they may be, or if there's anything that I may see that others may have not seen. Like, does anybody look scared? Does anybody look like they're more confident? Whatever the case may be, and I'll give you guys my assessment on the body language and things like that. All right, so let me go ahead and play this. And yo, Platboy, feel free to give your reaction. You said, I think we talked a little bit backstage, and you said you saw a little bit of this.
Yeah.
But we're going to go ahead and play it through. And if you see something, go ahead and speak on it, and I'll pause it, and we can chop it up a little bit as we continue to wait for some of the other guests that will be coming in here. Drew Titan, bro, I see you, man. Hey, I'm going to hold it down for another at least an hour, bro. So get in here as soon as you can. All right, so let's go ahead and get in this and make sure it's muted because, YouTube, they be on the shenanigans constantly. So introducing, I'm going to skip through this part at least a little bit, introducing the fighters. So we got Ugas coming up. I'm going to go ahead and unmute it so we can.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, on to this.
So we can hear the the weight.
57-0 with 21 knockouts. A true star of boxing today. The undefeated IBF and WBC welterweight champion of the world, the Truth, Errol Spence Jr.
All right, cool. So here come both fighters.
And we're ready to bring our fighters to the scale at this time. Once again, this is for the Unified Welterweight Championship of the World. 12 rounds of boxing scheduled. Weight limit on this fight is a very strict 140.
Yeah, and just I'm sure we all know this as diehard boxing fans, or most of us are. This is for a unified title belt fight, right? And so somebody's walking away with more belts, and obviously the winner of this fight ideally should fight Crawford, right? So that's what we should be looking forward to as soon as the winner is announced Saturday night and the hand is raised and they gather more belts. The first thing they should say is, Bud, you're next, right? It should be a no-brainer. There should be no hesitation. So this is the whole lead up. This is the whole build up. This is what it's all about, is collecting these belts and finding undisputed at 147, which is desperately needed, right? So looks like we got K-Rod in the building now, so that's another one that we're bringing in.
Yo.
So we're gonna. It's starting to get heated up a little bit, but let's go ahead and get back to this weigh-in and continue to wait for some more possible guests that may come in.
Pounds. First to the scale in his 4th world title appearance and the 2nd defense of his current title. Here is the defending WBA.
Oh damn, Ugas looks ripped.
Of the world, Yordenis Ugas.
Oh shit.
146 3/4 pounds. 146 3/4 pounds.
146 3/4 pounds, right? 88 Sports Talk, bro. What's good, man? I see you. Yeah. So, like the thing is for me with Ugas, basically what I'm seeing right here is 146, man. He made weight just perfectly right where you want it, right? Just under 147, just by a tad. The good thing that I see here in his muscles, at least, they don't look dehydrated. He looks comfortable. He looks confident. His face looks full, right? It doesn't look like, you don't see his cheekbones coming through or nothing like that. It looks fresh. And I expect that, right? I expect that from Ugas. He's always come in looking good in most of his big fights. So I'm expecting that discipline. And that's what I see. What do you guys see with Ugas right here and his little screenshot?
Yeah, overall he looked pretty ripped, but you see that left bicep right there, does it look kind of shady?
Yeah, you did point that out. He could be flexing the left arm more, just randomly. I don't know, but that is something that now that you pointed out, yeah. But didn't he have a bicep issue not too long ago?
Yeah,
Was
that
that
somebody
surgery or something?
Yeah, that was prior to the Manny Pacquiao fight because people were saying that Ugas's like left bicep was torn coming into the fight, and then after the fight he had to get surgery. So like basically fast forward, leading into this fight, that basically meant Ugas had like 6 to 7 months, worth of, probably going through surgery and probably getting it healed. So I would assume that, just by looking at it, his bicep looks, healed, but I don't know, like honestly, just by looking at that left bicep, like it kind of looks like that it's still, injured. But I could be wrong.
So it was his left bicep that he injured?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So it looks like the bicep is shorter on
Yeah.
the left
Yeah.
arm. So his bicep. So normally what happens is if you have a bicep tear, then they have to take out the scar tissue where you ripped it, remove that, and shorten the muscle. So they have to reattach it, but the muscle is now shorter. So that makes sense. Now, pros and cons. I would imagine normally when you shorten any muscle, you have shorter range of motion. Now, in boxing, that might not affect you at all. And it's his left, right? So it's his jab hand. So should be okay, but it might shorten up his left hook maybe. But if he's worked with that now after recovery, he may have already adjusted. I don't know, but he looked okay in the Manny Pacquiao fight using the left arm. And I remember a lot of people talking about it leading up to the Pacquiao fight as well, where They thought he was injured. He's not going to be able to use his left hand, but obviously he did, and there weren't any issues. But yeah, you can tell the length. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think of a bicep as like when you flex it, there's like a bulge, right? But actually the bicep muscle is actually quite long. It connects from the top of your shoulder all the way down into, the pit of your elbow. It's a very long muscle. A lot of people don't know that, but I've known a lot of people that have torn the bicep. Not fun, but you can learn how to adjust it. I tore a tendon in my chest about 5 or 6 years ago, and I can do 90% of the things that I was used to be able to do, but definitely not 100%. You just have to adapt and change. So yeah, good observation there. But body-wise, hydration-wise, I think he looks great, and that's a good sign. And yeah, G5 also in the building. What's good, G5?
Divine, what's good, my brother? Salute to you. Platt, what's good, bro?
What's up,
K-Ride,
G5?
what's going
Yeah,
on?
what's up?
Hey, Platt, what section you sitting in?
It's I have to look at it. We'll get it. It's like section 2 something, seats 1 through 4, I believe.
I think I might be they number weird. I'm in section 150. Yeah, we kind of deep in section 150.
A bit. We can link up in between fights. It's all good.
Yeah, the weigh-in was cool though. I was there.
Nice. Yeah,
I went live.
G5 and Platt, y'all have each other on any social media or anything?
Yeah, I got his email, so I'm gonna hit him up when I take off tomorrow. It's a 6-hour drive for me in the morning. So
Oh wow.
Yeah, get that Instagram, whatever the case may be, man, and keep in contact, because you guys chopping it up while you're there, taking a video, taking a photo, whatever it may be, that's memories. This is a memorable fight right here.
Mm-hmm.
This is a memorable fight right here. So
yeah, I'll be paparazzi.
Yeah, man. Record as much as you can. And there's going to be a lot of us out there, not just YouTube. There's going to be a lot of us boxing fans that you may know on YouTube. So definitely cruise around the building, and you never know who you're going to run into, especially those of you who are from Texas.
Yes, sir. David Benavidez is at Papados in Arlington right now, and that's where we headed to.
Most definitely. Yeah. I see Soldier Boy. Yeah, man, I'm going to do a prediction of Fury and Dillian White, bro. Don't worry about that. It's all coming, man. It is all coming. Bruce Boxing, Bruce Goes, Bruce Gas Boxing, Jazz, and more. However you classify yourself nowadays, bro. It's good to see you. The legend.
Bruce got a cool channel, man.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
That's my OG. That's my brother, old Bruce.
Bruce got a nice laid back channel, man. I like it.
Yeah, he
Tuesday
runs
night
around
fights.
and shows,
we get
shows,
it in.
He shows love to everyone, man. That's what's up. Jay Sanders says he's worried about Spence's eye. Well, we'll talk about that. I see my man A1 Hoop Zone also in the building. Good to see you all in here, man. Make sure you guys hit that like button as soon as you guys come in. It should be automatic. We're getting over close to 30 people in here, so the like button should already be smashed as soon as you get comfortable. Just real quick, G5, before I move on, and you were at the weigh-in, what do you think about Ugas's body, how he looks?
I mean, he looked pretty good. You know what I'm saying?
He looks like he's ready, physically ready.
Yeah, I think he is.
Nice.
I mean, I think they both look game. I think they both look ready.
Yeah, if you guys came in a little bit later, we are going to do a prediction in this video. Don't worry. We're just kind of cruising in. We're taking our time. We're not in a hurry. This is a live stream, right? It's not a video. We're just looking at the weigh-ins, and then we'll get into it. Trust me. And we've got some other guests coming on later as well anyway. DJ Z on Love, what's good, bro? Good to see you in here. DP Rocker in the building. So if you guys also didn't hear, Ugas made weight, was at 146 and a quarter or 146 something or another. Whatever it may be, he made weight, a nice weight to be at, right at 146. I usually say you get if it's 147, you want to be at 146 and a half, 146. You don't want to below that. You want to be right in that sweet spot. Or if you can hit 147 right on the button, that's also great, but a little bit more difficult to do, right? Because you take the risk of being over a little bit. So that sweet spot is right there, 1 pound below or half a pound. is right where you want to be. So Ugas hit that. So that's good. Now let's go ahead and keep it moving. They're going to bring in Spence here in a second. We'll see what he looks like. Also, guys, there is a poll going on in the live stream, so make sure you vote in that poll. Let us know what you think. Now, here comes Spence. Now, this dude looks like a 147-pound version of the Terminator. I mean, look at him.
Shredded, boy.
Look at this.
Oh my God,
Yeah, everything's more defined. He's shredded.
Yeah. I mean,
he looks like a Mortal Kombat character.
literally 147 version of a Terminator. I mean, just not an ounce of fat on him. Just ripped and ready. Good and pause it there. So I think it's pretty self-explanatory, right? Not much to say. The dude's cut. The dude's ripped. He's got definition. Also, body looks well hydrated as well. I don't see any dehydration. And, you know, both of these guys will probably rehydrate to what? At least, 152, 153, something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're going to be even more fuller come fight night, right? You're going to see a little bit more fullness in the muscles, and especially Errol, right? Because he's already so ripped. So he puts another, 4 to 6 pounds of water weight back into his muscles. He's going to be a very, very solid welterweight in there as well. And this is what I always tell people when we talk about the welterweights and when we talk about Bud. And I'm not trying to make this about Bud, but I have to throw it in there in regards to the weight class. People have to understand that Errol Spence is a true and bona fide welterweight. And the dude has been at the weight class for a very long time, right? This is a guy who probably walks around when he's not training anywhere from 155 to 160, right? Who cuts down for welter. So this is a real welterweight that you're looking at right here. Now, not saying that Bud can't fight at 147 or he's not a big guy, because Bud himself is, what is he, 5'9", almost 5'10" himself, right? He's a tall, lanky dude. He's got a frame as well. But the point is that he's coming from lower weight classes. That's what people have to remember. There is something where you have this experience dealing with bigger fighters at welterweight at 147. So you're sparring and you're fighting guys that walk around naturally at 155 to 160 who are just naturally bigger guys, compared to if you're fighting at 130, you're fighting naturally smaller guys. So that's what makes Bud interesting, though, in my opinion, because the fact that he's been able to continue to move up and continue to fill up in these weight classes and continue to carry the power into 147 is very interesting. But like I said, Errol Spence is a real, true welterweight, so don't get it twisted. Anything you guys want to add to that?
Do you think, Spence coming off right off the Pacquiao camp, had the eye injury, took a month off for the healing process and going straight back into the gym? I think that's what, that's an advantage to him, like 2 camps for 1 fight.
Yeah, so the only thing that you have to worry about in that scenario is overtraining, right?
Right.
That's the only thing. So the benefit of it is, yeah, you're active, you're working on your craft, you're staying in the gym, you're training for Pacquiao. That fight doesn't happen. So you're no longer training for a southpaw, because, 2 southpaws going at it is always kind of awkward. So you're not having to worry about that. Now you're fighting against an orthodox fighter. So as a southpaw, you should feel way more comfortable with that. So, there's some slight changes in regards to how you prepare for a fight, as far as tactics are concerned. But staying in shape, that's the thing you have to be careful about at this level, is not overtraining. Now, you can look good at weigh-ins. You can look good. It doesn't mean you're not overtrained. Right. I'm letting you guys know that right now. Right? Chavo TV, bro, I see you.
I think the main benefit is him not having to enter a fat camp. He just went straight into the, working on the skill set.
Yeah. Then we did see him taking vacation like multiple times. So he's training, but then again, he is allowing his body a chance to get a break. And then he said something. He's also said something interesting in one of the interviews that he goes and trains based off his body. He's like, if I don't feel right that morning, then I might go that evening or that night. You know what I'm saying? So he's not burning himself out. And I think being a former athlete, like training and competing on a high level, that's very vital. He listened to his body. So that's another thing that I paid attention to, so that nutritionist, you can tell that like from this weigh-in compared to the Danny Garcia, I wish I would have went to that weigh-in. Went to the fight, but I didn't go to that weigh-in. But he looked it dry. Like you can tell he had to get his weight down. He didn't look just like he looks. His muscles are bigger, but he's lean, and his skin doesn't look dried out. You know what I'm saying? So I think the nutritionist is that paid dividends for him.
That may be the key of the whole thing. Him, actually having somebody manage that part instead of him actually doing that on his own. Like he has time to focus on the other stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the reason why I brought up the fact that, you can still look good but be overtrained. There are a lot of examples of that in boxing, and I'm by no means saying that that Errol Spence is overtrained, but I'm just saying, like, if you guys remember when Ricky Hatton was getting ready to fight Pacquiao, and how ripped he got for that fight. I mean, Ricky Hatton was shredded. But it was pretty clear by the second round that the dude was already spent. Like he had already put all the work in the gym before he arrived at the fight. He was completely burned out, and that's why he got put to sleep so easily and as quickly as he did. His body was just destroyed, right? You can tell. And not to mention doing nothing according to a game plan whatsoever. But that's a whole nother topic. But it was very clear to me as a person who's in this industry for the past 10 years, it's what I do for a living, right? Is analyzing people's bodies and being a personal trainer and things like that, is that Ricky Hatton was for sure overtrained. Now, what I'm seeing with these two gentlemen right here, I think, relatively speaking, you can almost say side by side, right? Ugas might look a little bit bigger.
Yeah, he does look bigger. He does. But look at that weird bicep again.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me, man.
But it's perfect. They're basically the same height. There might be a slight difference. And I think Errol has a little bit of a reach advantage.
Yeah.
I think 4 inches, something like that.
4 is a lot. I didn't know that it was that long, but I know that he definitely has the advantage. But he side by side here, Ugas does look a little bit bigger, but Errol's going to rehydrate. Don't have to worry about that at all. And he's not going to look the way he does right here come fight night. I guarantee you that. He's going to look way more fuller. And so, all these little things, does it matter? It's just something that we can chop it up about. Sometimes you look at Tyson Fury and his fat body, but then he's able to go 12 rounds. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's one of those things, right? Sometimes that's not the story of the situation. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But I guess the main thing is, one thing that we have to be happy about is they both made weight, right? So there's no shenanigans. There's no like, oh shit, someone didn't make weight, and then we have to talk about weighing in at different times, or what the contract says about not making weight, and then the belts are not on the line and all that bullshit. So we don't have any of that, right? It's go time, basically. It is absolutely go time. So I want to revisit just real quickly before we move on and take a look at the poll. It looks like we've got 49 votes so far in the poll. Of that 49, 45% says that Spence is going to win by decision. So it's changed now. Remember, Platt Boy, you were in here earlier, and it was Spence by stoppage.
Knockout. Yeah.
Yeah. So now it's flipped. Now 45% saying decision, 43% by stoppage for Spence, and then we have this lonely but yet confident 12% saying Ugas is going to pull out the decision. Nobody voting for Ugas by stoppage yet, but there might be a troll that jumps in here. Who knows?
You got a real quick. Spence is at a 72-inch reach. Ugas is at a 69-inch, so it's a 3-inch advantage.
Right. Okay. That makes sense because at 4, I was like, damn. But that goes back to what I was saying about Errol Spence having a 73-inch reach. I mean, that's a very long reach for a welterweight. That's a very long reach, and I think Bud is like 74.
Yeah,
something like that. So they're both got long ass arms. And normally when you get into like the 74, 5, 76, you're starting to get into middleweights. That's what I'm trying to explain to you guys. That like Spence is a very big welterweight who is still able to make 147 comfortably, which, in my opinion, is one of the main reasons why he was able to handle Danny Garcia, even though he wasn't at his best. And he admitted that in the last press conference. He said, I wasn't at my best. I'm way better now than I was then. And if I was in better mental condition, better physical condition because of the car accident in particular, I probably would have got Danny Garcia out of there, or I would have just performed way better. I don't know if anybody can knock out Danny Garcia, to be completely honest. The dude is like got a granite chin.
Yeah.
But the dude, there were a lot of speculation after that fight, right? They're like, Errol looked okay, But I think one of the reasons why he was able to, do what he did was because he's naturally bigger than Danny, right? Danny came from 140. He's a naturally smaller guy, and Spence is a naturally bigger guy. And he was just able to deal with Danny, not allow Danny to like impose his will. And I think it was one of the factors. So I just love this fight, man. I just love this fight. So we'll go ahead and swing it around the panel. And we'll go ahead and, oh shit, wrong one. Let's see. All right, let me go ahead and pull this
Hey,
out.
Divine, I got to fall off real quick, brother. I try to come back in about 10 minutes or so. Got to fall off.
Yeah. Try to come back in, bro.
Yep.
Terry Smoot, bro, what's good, man? I see you. Thanks for guys for coming in, man. Thank you, Devin, for letting people know to hit that like button, man. This is what it's all about. Get those likes all the way up. We should be at 50 in no time, 50 likes in no time. Continue to vote in the poll as well. All right, gentlemen, it's time to start cooking. Hopefully we get Drew in here. I know he's stuck in traffic out there in New York. He's trying to get home. But let's go in and start cooking. Now, as I was saying earlier, for those who joined a little bit later, if you guys haven't seen yet, I made a keys to victory video for this fight, right? I broke it down stylistically. I went into a boxing gym. I worked with a boxing coach there. He's like a featherweight boxer, as a matter of fact. He's like 6-0 there in Phoenix. And so I worked with him. He showed me some stuff. And he was naturally a southpaw, by the way, so which was cool because he was able to kind of give more of an Errol Spence perspective. Now, ironically, he was saying that he thought that Errol Spence was going to win the fight. But as I was saying earlier, there were other boxing coaches there who were a bit, they're a bit more on the distinguished older side of things, to put it nicely. They've been around boxing for a long time, and they actually think that Ugas is going to squeeze this out by decision. Big Dog, man, I see you. I appreciate the super chat, bro, to kick things off with the super chats, man. My man, Big Dog Willie, bro, I appreciate you. So in that breakdown video, I wanted to point out a few things that are very important, which will lead into this whole prediction process and I'll let you guys chop and cook on it. Is we've seen both of these guys in big fights, right? We've seen Spence with Porter. We've seen Spence with Danny Garcia. We've seen Spence with some, good quality opponents, and Ugas as well, right? And there's a lot of tape to look at. There's a lot of things that you can be like, what does he do there? What does he do there? Vice versa, right? For Spence, he has the slight advantage, in my opinion, because he's a southpaw. And so he's fighting an orthodox fighter, right? He no longer has to worry about dealing with someone like Manny Pacquiao, who's also a southpaw, awkward, fast on his feet, hand speed, and things like that. So he's gonna fight a guy also in Ugas who is not flashy, right? Ugas is not a guy who bounces on his toes, works behind the jab, pumping the jab out, pot shot. He's gonna stand in front of you essentially, right? But Ugas is a part of that Cuban boxing school, right? He is very deceptive on the way he sets up shots, how he counter punches, and Ugas always figures out a way, even if he doesn't get a decision or you don't know if he's, favorable in a fight, he's always in it, right? Ugas is always in it, in my opinion. And there might be a round or two or three where he'll just win flat out. One, he might win 4-5-6, and he's like, oh shit, he's back in the fight. Now Ugas has that capability, and so when you have also another thing I want to point out is that Ugas, being a Cuban fighter, being an orthodox fighter, he's also had to face off and spar southpaws of the Cuban style, right? We know that there are a lot of Cuban southpaws out there that are very good. So I guarantee you, in this fight camp, he has sparred against high-quality southpaws. I guarantee you guys that, right? And probably guys that are bigger than him as well, because he knows that Errol Spence is a big welterweight. And a part of that fight camp is going to be working in the clinch, which will happen in this fight. As a matter of fact, Spence said in the press conference, the most recent one, he said, if it goes to the clinch, I'm going to stop him. If we get close and work on the inside and get in the clinch, I will stop him. Right? So my mind starts twisting and turning at that point, because I know Ugas in this fight camp is training with southpaws of high quality, right? Probably fellow Cuban boxers in particular, and they're definitely going to be working on the inside because he knows that's where Spence is his strongest and he's at his best, right? And it's inevitable. At some point in a 12-round fight, you're going to find yourself on the inside. So I want to throw that out there before I get deeper into the prediction. I want to swing it around the panel for you guys to throw some thoughts out there a little bit, and I'll start off with K-Rod.
For my prediction for the fight?
No, just basically before we just high dive off into the prediction, just throw some things out there. Say, keys for Spence, keys for Ugas, and it doesn't really matter which way you lean. I was just trying to play devil's advocate here because most people are going for Spence, right? Yep. And I just wanted to remind people about Ugas and why he's there and things like that. So if there's anything that you want to counter that narrative of, oh, Ugas is from the Cuban style and he's got this skill or that skill, and you want to counter that with the abilities that you feel like Spence has, or I don't know, maybe you're going for Ugas, but anything that you want to share on, in regards to what I was just saying earlier.
Nothing really. I think, honestly, Ugas is just tailor-made for Spence because I really don't see anything, spectacular out of him. I don't really think he really, fights as like a Cuban fighter as many people try to paid him out to be, just simply due to the fact that Ugas, he's more of a come forward type of fighter. He's not a, like a actually, pure boxing Cuban school type of fighter, because, the more, fighters that are more comparable to that would be guys like, I'll use maybe like Rabesi Ramirez, Guillermo Rigondeaux, and who else? probably Arislandi Lara, but compare that to Ugas, I personally don't think so. To me, he fights more, pressure style, and he has too much flaws, on the inside to leave himself wide open to get hit a lot. But I mean, to a particular degree, if you kind of leave, those punches hanging from Ugas, then Ugas, he could very well hurt you on the inside. But it's like that's really not his style of forte. But I guess as far as the keys to victory, Ugas, he really needs to start pumping his jab out early to Spence. But I would probably say do it to the body, and then if Spence likes to use that uppercut, then I think what Ugas needs to do, he needs to parry that, and then basically use those punches as like pull hook counters to basically catch Spence off guard to keep his pressure basically Ugas needs to establish like a good rangy distance to control the fight to make sure that he can win. But if Spence wants to win, he needs to make the fight very, very how should I say uncomfortable in order to actually be successful to win. So
Yeah, all fair points. And hey, Plat Boy, I appreciate you, man, as well for the super chat, man. Salute to you as always, and thanks for being
Yes,
on the
sir.
panel. This is why I wanted to show the video here in the background, just to kind of as we're chopping it up about styles, and I definitely pointed out in this video where Ugas has like this kind of sneaky looping right hand, which can be effective against the southpaw, right? And he landed it almost at will against Pacquiao. Now, obviously, Pacquiao isn't Spence. Obviously, Pacquiao, he was aging. He couldn't move his feet as well as he could, in his prime and things like that. I'm pointing out here, too, like, the jabs to the body that Ugas does do, right? It's not his favorite punch. He's not crazy disciplined with it, but he definitely still throws it. And, when I was talking to this guy who I said earlier, he's a featherweight, right? He's 6-0. He's got some experience. He also coaches. And he's naturally a southpaw. So, he was saying that he doesn't think that Spence is going to back up much. He doesn't think that Spence is going to, try to avoid too much. He's going to catch and shoot. That's what he thinks that Spence is going to do. He's going to catch and shoot. And he thinks that Spence is not afraid of Ugas's power or his ability to hurt him. And he's just going to stand there in the pocket, catch, and shoot. And so that's what I was going through right here is like throwing that looping right hand, which, Ugas sometimes does overcommit when he throws it as well, right? He really steps into it. He really loops it around. And if you don't get out of the way, yeah, he might get you. But when you really overextend like that, you really open up that right shoulder to get countered with Spence's left hand. And Spence has got a lot of options, right? He can counter with his own left. He can counter with the right uppercut. And quite frankly, he can go straight to the body, right? Which we know that he loves to do. And so another thing that we have to keep in mind, guys, and you can never forget, is the battle of the jabs between, Orthodox and Southpaw fighters. Who's going to have the advantage when it comes to the jab, right? I have to go for Spence in this one because Spence has the longer reach. I think he puts more energy behind the jab, right? I think he actually tries to not use it as a rangefinder only, but also to try and let's see if I can hurt you a little bit with the jab, where Ugas, not as much, right? So I wanted to point that out there. But, I was showing here where, the feet could clash, especially as Spence tries to work on the inside and steps in with that shoulder, as I'm pointing out here, right? He's got to get that right foot on the outside of Ugas to be able to be effective, right? And to catch these shots on the inside, which Ugas will throw. Ugas is going to throw these big hooks in there, guaranteed. He's going to throw these big uppercuts in there. He's going to try to get in on Spence. There'll be a moment where there'll be a little bit of, let's see who's stronger. Let's see who's tough. The number one grinder, real talk, bro. What's good? So, yeah, this is kind of why I wouldn't play. You could go underneath that big right hook and counter. And, Spence is not like a flashy defensive fighter, right? He's more of a catch and shoot. He's more of a fire back type fighter. You don't see him bobbing and weaving and coming underneath shots a lot. He just high guard, steps back a little bit, throws a big shot, steps into something, as in step in to throw his own punch, not to get hit with something. And, we don't know, right? We don't know how it's all going to play out. Rojai was good, bro. Any thoughts on that, Platt Boys?
Yeah, I think Ugas won't be able to handle like Spence ring generalship and punch output. Like Ugas is an outstanding counter puncher, but the best counter to a counter puncher is to keep punching. And his output is like outrageous. Like I don't think Ugas can like keep up. And nobody work for a key for Ugas is work Spence body, because name somebody who ever went constantly to the body on Spence. Maybe that's why he steps forward all the time. Nobody ever challenged him that way, but he's an awesome body puncher. So, I mean, Spence's output like is just going to be too much for Ugas to me. That's what I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think also Ugas has never even faced like a guy like Spence where, southpaw punchers that he's ever even fought have even thrown that many shots within like a single round to give him that much danger. Because if you even look back at the Ray Robinson fight, Ray Robinson had the style to beat Ugas up, but for his punch output, he wasn't landing enough and throwing enough to actually give Ugas any trouble.
Yeah, for sure. Joshua, what's good, bro? And let me just rewind it back here a little bit. I wanted to show something that, obviously if Spence is over aggressive, I think here I'm just showing like the movement in the ring. And my boy here, he was kind of showing how, and I agree with him, that when Ugas is trying to find the outside foot position, right, trying to get his right hand leaned up, notice how all Spence has to do is just keep his lead hand out there, check that jab, and then keep his left hand open, right, and move to his own right. And we're going to see a chess match in the movement here, but, he wanted to show where Spence doesn't have to do anything flashy and just keep his distance, and stay comfortable in his own positioning, right? But what I wanted to point out was if Spence is over aggressive, there are some maneuverability for Ugas there for sure in this fight, right? If he's able to time it and step to his left, that's going to open up Spence's right side, right? So Spence is going to have to be quick on that and be looking out for that, where Ugas might try to pull something out of the bag here, and instead of trying to be overzealous with the right hand, he actually might start stepping to his left and pivot off of it and start getting in left hooks, right? Coming over the jab with left hooks, then try to throw a right hand down the pipe, moving to his left, not his right, if that makes sense. Now, with the aggression here, notice how I pointed out the clinch, right? That's something that Ugas can do. Ugas doesn't have a history of being a guy who's going to clinch a lot, but he could in this fight, where if he feels that Spence is starting to tee off a little bit, starting to get comfortable, plant his feet, throwing big body shots, I mean, he can step to him and try to, like I said, clinch him up quick. But the problem is that Ugas doesn't clinch really. And I think that might be detrimental in this fight, to be honest with you, especially if Spence starts to plant his feet. Now, Ugas is going to try to his best ability to not get caught on the ropes. All right, this is going to be a major part of his plan in this fight. I guarantee you that. So either in his fight camp, he was working on when Spence starts stepping and throwing big shots, walking him down, try to get him on the rope so he can load up with big power shots. What is he going to do to avoid that, it's really only a couple of things, right? One is movement, right? Which Ugas isn't the best at that. He's not like a Erislandi Laura who can move and duck underneath and find himself back into the right position, right? He can pivot okay, but he's not a quick mover, if that makes sense. So they would have to adjust that. The other thing that they can do is obviously get into kind of like a Philly shell, get that left shoulder in the way, and then just clinch him, just tie him up, right? Force the referee to break it up. Then you can get back into your space and try to get that jab pumping and throw the right hand in position. That's pretty much it. Now, I can see that working, at least for the first part of the fight. But eventually, in my opinion, Spence is going to make adjustments to that. He's going to say, oh, well, every time I step this way, you're trying to grab me. Every time I pivot that way, you're trying to throw a jab or throw a sneaky uppercut somewhere and then grab me. He's going to make adjustments to that. And instead of being front foot heavy, he's just going to chill. He's going to say, all right, come to me then. And then he's going to time Ugas. Ugas will be forced to take that little extra half a step forward to commit. And then Spence is going to start timing him and start ripping to the body. And then all of a sudden, then you'll start to see Ugas lose his game plan a little bit to where Spence can start getting comfortable and slowly start walking forward. And then the later rounds start picking them apart. But that's just me kind of freestyling and playing it out in my head. Anything else you guys wanted to add to that?
Yeah. What do you think about what if they stand in the middle of the ring and bang it out? Like who do you favor in that situation?
For me, definitely Spence.
Yeah, Spence.
Because I mean, that's what Ugas said. He wants Spence to stand in the ring, toe to toe, bang it out.
Ugas is full
I
of
think
shit.
that's a terrible. Like, no,
Yeah,
don't do that.
Terrible,
like,
terrible fight strategy. Yeah.
Ugas said that on one of those interviews, man.
Ugas says a lot of things.
Yeah.
All right. And, you know, a lot of stuff that he puts out on social media, too. I don't know if that's really him. I mean, it might be. Obviously, we know that he doesn't speak English very well. So he's got, like, you know, people working on his account. But he says a lot of things. And I guarantee you that Ugas is no fool. He's been in the game for a long time. He's been around boxing and high caliber fighters for a very long time. There ain't no damn way his plan is, oh, let me just go in there and fight fire with a guy who has notoriously, like, destroyed people's bodies. Like, forget about that.
I think he was selling. He was selling. He was just selling. I think he was just trying to sell.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. What you're going to see from Ugas, in my opinion, is an extremely wide stance. He's going to stand long, right? He's going to open his stance nice and big, right? And then he's going to try to work the jab, stay a little bit lower, and then come from that low position up to a higher position to loop right hands in. Rather, it's a right hand to the body or the head. But one thing I guarantee that you will see is these right hands to the body by Ugas, right? He's going to masquerade it. He's going to work it up and down and try to keep Errol Spence guessing a little bit. But I see him in this really wide stance. And that way, the reason why you do that, it's sometimes if you go into a boxing gym and you have a wide stance like that, boxing coaches get irritated, right? Because when you have a wide stance like that, there's pros and cons to it, right? But you're not going to be able to move in certain positions as easily when your feet are a little bit more closer together in a more shoulder length stance to where you can get quick pivots in faster, right? But with a wider stance, you have a wider base, number one. So if you do get hit with something, you have more of an anchor. And number two, you can step back a little bit faster, right? You can cover more ground when you're in a wider stance. So I see him in that position and staying low. And I feel like jabs to the body, right hands to the body, get Errol Spence to get into a position where it's like, why is this dude always going to the body like this? To drop his hands a little bit so he can try to loop something over, right? And a part of that looping over against a southpaw is that you want to step to your left and loop something across, right? As you're moving to your left, you don't want to just stay stationary against a southpaw and then loop something that way. because the left hand is coming back, right? And with Errol Spence, we know he likes to counter straight to the sternum, straight to the ribs, and it's not just like coming back to the head, right? And what people need to understand, they're saying, oh, well, what's the point about that, Divine? Like, why does that matter, body or head? Well, when you're loading up with big looping shots with the right hand like that, you're exerting energy, right? So if you get caught with a flush shot to the face, you might be able to take that because adrenaline is taking you forward, especially if the fight starts to get nasty, right? And they're starting to exchange blows. Your face gets a little bit numb. You can absorb shots sometimes, and your adrenaline's pumping, the heat of the moment, right? But when you throw a solar plex shot, which Errol Spence does do with the left uppercut to the solar plexus, you're expending energy. Boom, you get hit. That's when you lose your breath. That's when the air gets knocked out of you, and that's where guys get dropped. They at least go onto a knee because they just been hit with that type of shot. And I think that's a very good possibility in this fight, as I'm showing here in this where he's catching that right hand and just short shots, boom, right, and just time it. Ugas has got no choice, people. He's got no choice but to try to land that right hand. He's got zero choice, and he's got to be effective with that right hand. Working the jab up and down all night is not going to be enough to win a fight by decision. I don't care if he throws 100 jabs in the whole night or per round. He's not going to win the fight with just the left. He's got no choice but to try to figure out how to land an effective right hand to gain, number one, gain respect, and number two, to catch the eyes of the judges. Let's not forget, Spence is the favorite, and the fight is in Texas, right? Let's not forget that. If this fight goes to the scorecards and all Ugas did was throw jabs and try to move left to right and stay out and land a right hand here and there, and it goes 12, he ain't going to win a decision, people. It's not going to happen. So the point of the matter is that he, like I said, has to figure out a way, figure out a way to land effective right hands and left hooks, which he doesn't really throw that often. I haven't really seen him throw. He's not a great left hooker as a orthodox fighter. So I just want to put that into perspective. Any thoughts on that little piece of information, fellas?
Well, yeah. I think he's a waiter. Like, the counter punching, like he does a lot of waiting, even though he might catch you with one or two with that lead counter. It's just I think he does too much waiting. I think he actually has to like be a little more aggressive against Spence to even make it a fight. You know what I mean? Like if he sits back and tries to shoot off a counter, like I said, the best thing against a counter is somebody who continually punches, and that's what Spence does. He constantly comes forward and he doesn't stand there. He throws punches. So I feel like he needs to like step up the aggression a little bit.
Yeah. Also, as Ugas tries to, use those counter hooks, I think what EJ is gonna do, he's just gonna crack that body more, because I think Ugas has basically shown that once you frustrate him by forcing his counter hooks to be unworkable, by forcing the pressure shots to the body, he really starts to gas out and fade. And I think that's what EJ is gonna do to beat him. And just by looking at it from from a southpaw perspective, if I have an orthodox guy like Ugas that's just waiting for the counter, I just basically wait for his counter to me, and then I just basically offset his counter and I force him to his weak side, to which I'm able to basically land my pressure shots on him to make him more uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, what's funny, it just dawned on me, is that imagine if Ugas just like comes out in the first round and just tries to knock out Spence. Like, that'd be some crazy.
I'm not, hey man, but you know what? Sometimes you got to do the unexpected, right? It's something we We know it's a bad deal for him, but I would give him his card. I would say, good job, Ugas. If he came out and tried to like give us a show like that, man, I go ahead and do it, man. I wouldn't even.
It is your night.
I mean, I feel like I know what the outcome is, but go ahead and try, man. I would love to see it.
It'll be a good. I mean, if he does take that route, I think he would get respect, no doubt about it. Just simply because he'll make the fight extremely interesting. But yeah, I mean, ill-advised, but he will definitely get some respect. You know, has Ugas ever been stopped?
He was
I
on
don't
the
think
verge
so.
of getting stopped a couple fights.
Yeah, but he's only lost decisions, right? So he's been hurt. I know that. He's definitely been hurt. You can definitely hurt him, but yeah, so I guess it's a feather in Spence's cap is if he's actually able to stop him. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
It's a big feather in his cap because, you know, number one, you're beating a champion. I mean, let's not mince words here. The dude he's a champ. All right. I get so upset when people say, oh, well, you know, he ain't that good, man. He beat an aging Pacquiao. I don't want to hear none of that shit. You know why? Because none of y'all were saying that when Pacquiao beat Keith Thurman's ass. So when Pacquiao beat Keith Thurman, you guys were like, oh shit, like Pacquiao's back. Oh damn, we didn't expect that. But as soon as he gets touched up by Ugas, which was only like what, a year later, then all of a sudden, oh, he was old and Ugas ain't that good. Nah. If Spence knocks out Ugas, Spence beat a real champion, right? The guy who, hate to say it, ended Pacquiao's career. Let's call it what it is. Because like I said, it's not like Pacquiao was disintegrating for 2 or 3 fights and was barely winning decisions and like he was getting like the nod because he's a legend in the sport. The dude literally beat Keith Thurman and hurt Keith Thurman, right? And he didn't look like he was 25-year-old Pacquiao by any means, but he looked hella good for 40 or what he was at the time when he fought Keith, right? So Ugas beats him. He ended Pacquiao's career, right? So if Spence beats Ugas and knocks him out, especially, then Spence earns and has deserved that credit of beating the man who beat the legend Manny Pacquiao and who is a champion, full out. So that's what I expect. None of this like, oh yeah, but Ugas wasn't really that good. I mean, he beat an old Pacquiao. He got a belt, but he ain't that good. Because if people start talking like that, I'm gonna lose my shit. I promise you that. Spence deserves 100% credit, especially if he either A, knocks him out, or B, completely outclasses him and Ugas somehow survives to 12 rounds. Right? The only thing that I ask of Spence, if that A and B does happen, the immediate response for Spence is, Bud, I'm coming for you. In my Mike Tyson voice. What he said to Lennox Lewis, right? When he was chasing Lennox. Lennox, I'm coming for you. Right? That's what I want from Spence. Because if we get this hopscotching, you know, oh, well, I'm going to see what my promoter thinks and nah, fuck all that. No. Bud, I'm coming for you. That's what I'm expecting, and that's what it is. And Bud Crawford's ass better be sitting ringside in Texas next to my boy Platt Boys.
You feel me? I saw something that said he wasn't attending, but on like I think Blue Blood page. But this is the fight he should be at. Like it's only one belt left, and you have it. Like this is where you should be that night. But I mean, it seemed like Bud always does the opposite of what we think he should do. So that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, how could you not be at the fight? How could you not be?
How could you not be at this fight?
That's
This is-
insanity.
I would.
Because wasn't Spence at the Bud Porter fight?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was there.
Yeah, he was sitting there smiling the whole time. Right? So
Absolutely.
how could you not go? You don't even have to sit ringside. You can sit in the nosebleeds for all I care. But how could you not go?
I mean, it would bring back the glory days where the guys got in the ring after the fight and was like, I want you next. Like, let's get it on. Like, that's what we need to get back to in boxing. Like they got a chance to like pick it back up. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, they just always go against the grain.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, this is what because for me, right? That's how we alleviate and avoid all of this drama that we see on YouTube. Right? People going at each other's throats the past what? I mean, it's been happening for a long time, but to an extreme level, the past like year or two of Bud and Spence going at each other's throats, the fans. Who's
Right.
ducking who and why, who's scared, who doesn't want to fight, right? How we avoid all of that, where we basically say all that shit didn't even matter. All that bullshit we were talking about, that never mattered. You know why? Because when Spence knocks out Ugas, Bud walks into the ring, grabs the mic, and says, "Bitch, you ain't shit."
Man, that would be crazy. That would be crazy.
That would be insane.
You can double my ticket price or something like that, man. That's
Double that.
Because
would
guess
be
what?
Insane.
This is boxing, right? This isn't NBA. This isn't where, you're Patrick Beverly and you say, "Oh, fuck the soft ass Clippers," and then you get fined $50,000.
Right.
No, this is boxing, bro. You step up in that ring and just grab that mic and say, "Everybody move out of the way. Spence, I ain't no Ugas."
Yeah, you can say what you want because you eventually going to punch each other in the face anyway. So, like,
Yeah.
man, they
And the
they need
whole
it, for real.
reason why, a lot of the reason why Fury and Wilder was so big was because, wasn't it like Fury that got in the ring? Or
Fury
I
got
think
in
it
the
was
ring.
Fury, right?
Fury
Yeah.
got in the ring.
Fury got in the ring and they were talking shit. And then all of a sudden, it's like, once that happens, promoters have to make it. You ain't got no choice, because it's one thing for us as diehard boxing fans. Angie, what's up? It's one thing for us diehards to say these things. The boxers know it. The promoters know it. The management teams know it because they listen to us, FYI. They do. But it don't mean as much because we're a small piece of the pie. And I'm talking about casual boxing fans' pie. They make up the majority of the pie. But when you step into the ring and you do that, guess what? You get the attention of all the casuals. Because guess what? The casuals, when they see that type of energy, they'll pay whatever, right? They're not going to be as picky. And as diehard boxing fans, we have the right to be picky because boxing be on bullshit. But casual boxing fans don't think of it that way, right? If Manny Pacquiao came out of retirement tomorrow and faced off against Juan Manuel Marquez for the 200th time, but it'll be sold out. And people are going to buy it because it's casuals. Diehards aren't going to pay for that shit, right? But that's the way boxing works. So when you have that type of situation happen in the middle of the ring, boxing casuals, they overwhelm the promotional companies, and they can't fight against the majority. They can resist us as the minority, which is the diehard boxing fans.
Right. Would you
But
watch
not the
Wilder
casuals.
Fury 4?
Would I?
Yeah.
I would.
I would if, and I'm saying this as an even playing field for everybody involved, if there was Olympic-style drug testing. I would watch it then. I would feel confident then. right?
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't think Fury would come to the States again. I don't know. I don't know. It would have to be in like Saudi Arabia or some shit like that. But I don't know. I can only cross that bridge if it was a reality. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around it.
I would only watch it if Wilder had like a Ruiz or somebody like that, a fight in between it, and then come back to it. Like
he and I think he needs it for himself.
Right.
Despite whatever he may feel about the outcomes of the second and third fight and what have you, and we all have our speculations, and we've all discussed it here at length. At the end of the day, he's got to sit home and wrap his mind around the fact that he lost, right? So what is the best way to get back into that confident? Not saying that he's not a confident man. Of course, he's a very confident alpha man, but this is boxing, right? You got to go in there and you got to get your mojo back. I mean, lack of better words, you got to get your mojo back. And I've always said, you don't just go in there and, you just don't go in there and just rematch Fury right away, right? You got to go in there and fight someone of a high caliber fighter, a decent name like Andy Ruiz or something like that, like you mentioned, and win by knockout. Knock a guy out who's never been knocked out before. Andy Ruiz has never been stopped. All right? People forget that.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Oh, I think Wilder knocks him out easy. Well, great. Then let's see it happen, because he's been dropped, but he's never been stopped. He was dropped by Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua couldn't finish him. And Anthony Joshua is a hard puncher. I mean, think what you want about Anthony Joshua. The dude can crack.
He was dropped in that last fight too.
Chris Arreola.
Arreola, yeah.
Yeah. So, he can get dropped, but the dude, he's a warrior, right? So now, of course, Deontay's got that. He's got that one hitter quitter. I mean, I'm not saying that he doesn't, right? He touches you, people just fall asleep. But at the same time, Fury was able to get off the canvas, and you just never know. But at the end of the day, if you beat a guy like Andy, one, you get a confidence boost, you get your mojo back. People are like, yo, Wilder's back. And then you have the feather in your cap saying, I knocked the dude out who has never been knocked out before. And so that is easier for the boxing fans to say, shit, maybe he's back. Maybe he's ready to take on Fury and avenge that loss. But the problem with the fourth fight is this, right? Is unless Wilder knocks him out in 3 rounds, you almost have to have a 5th fight. Because it's a trilogy, right?
To balance it out.
If it goes to 12 again, and Wilder somehow wins the decision, or he knocked him down 5 times instead of 2, and he wins in 12, people will still say, oh, well, it's 2-2 now. We got to run it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck that.
Right? So we don't want to see a 5th. So the only way is if Wilder, like I said, knocks him out, I won't say 3, I'll say within 5. If he knocks him out within 5 and puts his ass to sleep and he doesn't get up this time, then people might say, all right, okay.
Yeah,
that's
done
enough.
deal at that point.
It's a done deal. It's 2-2. Wilder ended it with a knockout. We ain't trying to see Fury get knocked. And let's be honest here. If he knocks out Fury in a 4th fight, and even if it's just once and he puts him to sleep in 1 shot, that means Fury had been knocked on the canvas against Wilder how many times in total? In total. Right? That's not good for you. That's not healthy.
And has been hurt multiple times to not even take Wilder's punches.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, and we're kind of swinging it to this direction, which is fine, man. It's Firestorm. But I'm going to talk about Fury, Dillian White here probably in the near future. Now, to be honest with you, man, I don't know where Fury's mental status is, man. I really, really don't. Like,
he's a pretty weird guy to me. Like,
he's a weird guy, but I'm not talking about personality-wise. His personality is just, I mean, that's a whole nother topic that I won't get into. But I'm just talking about his mental space, right? Like, let me put it to you in layman terms, right? Simple terms. How healthy is his brain? What's his brain health?
Not healthy.
Like, imagine if Dillian White can be getting his ass beat for the whole fight, and Fury's just walking him down, beating him up, chopping him down, doing what he did against Wilder in the second fight, right? Let's just say that's what happens. All Dillian White has to do is crack him upside the head with some shit that he doesn't see, and Fury, with the amount of damage that he has taken against Wilder, he can be seriously, like, damaged brain-wise. Like, people think about, this is the thing about boxing, right? People that support Fury especially, right? They're up there, pom-poms, cheerleading. Oh, our guy's the greatest heavyweight of all time. He beat the most dangerous puncher in the sport. And I find it funny when they say that. You guys ever notice that with Fury fans, right? They'll say, oh, our guy, yeah, we took care of the monster. We took care of the biggest puncher in the sport. But, and then in the next breath, they'll say Wilder ain't shit. Wilder was a bum. Wilder was overrated. It's like, yo, your hypocrisy is so lopsided that I can't even consider you a boxing fan at this point.
Yeah, you give him his flowers in the defeat, but when you talk about him, you know, as a person, you take the flowers right back. That's crazy as hell.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah, they don't study the sport either.
Sorry?
Right.
I said Fury fans don't study the sport either. Like basically their fan base are just, like the mass majority of them are just Deontay Wilder haters. They're not actual fans.
Yeah, not boxing fans, just Deontay Wilder haters. I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Fury fans who do know boxing and actually have respect for the sport and all facets of the sport. And a part of one of those facets is the fact that even if you don't think that Wilder has the best boxing ability, one thing that you cannot refute is the fact that he is one of the most devastating heavyweights of all time. Period. And you can make an argument of all time, like he's the most devastating. Right? You can make that argument. Now, I'm not, that's a whole nother argument, and maybe that's another live stream, right? Because you're talking about, George Foreman's and a lot of other big, strong heavyweights that put people to sleep. But my point is you can make the argument, right? So Fury fans who have respect for the sport can at least acknowledge that, right? They'll come out and say, I think Fury's a more complete fighter, but damn, I was on the edge of my seat because I knew that Fury could have been knocked out at any moment. That is the respect that you got to give to a God-given talent like Wilder had, which was power, right? You rewind the tape to like Sonny Liston. Sonny Liston wasn't a specimen as far as athletic ability, but the dude was just a big monster, right? And it took a guy like Muhammad Ali, a.k.a. Cassius Clay, to go in there and float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. That was the only way you could have beat a guy like Sonny Liston. Because nobody can stand toe-to-toe to the great Sonny Liston at that time. In the 60s, it wasn't happening. Too big, too strong, too powerful. And that's what I always tell people about the heavyweight division. Because people say, Devon, man, I don't get it, bro. This is what the Fury fans tell me. And I went on several panels, by the way. Some of you guys know this. I went on several panels to discuss Wilder Fury, and I got a lot of hate. A lot of hate. Yeah. And a lot of it and a lot of it was directed because a lot of people that have been on YouTube for a long time, like they know me, right? So they're like, Devon, I don't get it, because normally when you predict fights and you talk about boxing, you go for the technical fighter. You're a guy who says, oh, I love the sweet science, which is true. Right? I'm a Mayweather fan. I'm a Willie Pep fan. I'm a James Toney fan. I'm a Whitaker fan. I love those types of styles. But guess what? We are talking about the heavyweight division. What do I love about the heavyweight division is the fact that somebody can get knocked out. I can pick one punch, and I can talk about the most technical. Like, look at Sanchez, right? The Cuban fighter coming up, looking good, Cuban style, slick, boxing, jab, moving around. Love it. Love the style. As a heavyweight, love it. Do I think Wilder can knock out Sanchez? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
And that's what people have to understand about the heavyweight division. Now, you get into the super middles and the cruisers and the light heavies, yet they start to have that ability a little bit as well. But the heavyweights is bar none. Like, you don't have to be the most athletic, the most technically skilled. All you need is a little bit of durability, strength, and most of all, you need foundation. You need fundamentals, obviously, right? It's boxing. But if you have raw power in the heavyweight division, you can offset any skill, right? That's what people have to understand. We're not talking about lightweights. We're not talking about welterweights. Whereas we can say Errol Spence is the most powerful puncher in the welterweight division. Okay, we can make that argument. Oh, I think he's the strongest puncher in the welterweight division, right? He can knock dudes out. Cool. But can Errol Spence be beat in the welterweight division against a guy who's extremely technically sound? Yes. Because a welterweight's punch is not as devastating as what a heavyweight punch will be.
Well,
right?
I mean, I got to disagree with that because the welterweight division is like the heavyweight division, but the problem is that more welterweights are coming down from bigger weights to get down to welterweight. So, like, for example, Yordenis, you can obviously tell he's not built to be to be fighting at 147, but I believe according to his father, he says that he actually walks around at I think 160 or close to 170. So basically, Yordenis is basically close to almost like a heavyweight, because it's for me, I'm 6 feet and I'm 315 pounds, but Yordenis is pretty much around my height, but he's not supposed to be fighting at 147. And but the way he's built and the way he punches like a heavyweight technically. So,
I understand.
Yeah.
No, I understand. All right, I understand. And by the way, when you go down in weight, even if you're walking around at 185 and you're fighting at middleweight, or you're 185 and you're fighting at 154, you're not going to carry all that power, right? You can carry maybe even majority of it, but there's just no way physically, because a lot of power is size as well, right? So my point that I'm trying to make is, and I understand what you're saying, K-Rod, and I agree 100%, right? Bigger guys dropping down to smaller weight classes, they're naturally bigger. They can knock you out with one punch. Yeah, sure. But in comparison on how often, right? Like, you can find a welterweight or a middleweight who can get dropped but get back up, right? But how many times in heavyweights do you see a guy get dropped and actually get back up? Like, heavyweights get put to sleep.
Yeah.
Like, when they get hit, they're sleep. Like, it's done. You know what I mean? Like, when a heavyweight goes down, there's a 75% chance that dude's not getting back up. So that's why in welterweights and middles and those weight classes, right, where that's why they're called middle weights, right? Because it's that middle ground. It's like you got the speed and you got the power, right? It's the middle ground. That's what we call them middleweights. So they have the ability. But how often do you see a fight like, let's say, how Sergio Martinez knocked out Paul Williams? How often do you see that type of knockout in middleweight?
Not very often.
It's very rare. Very rare, right? But if Sergio Martinez and Paul Williams were heavyweights and you saw that type of knockout, you're like, well, yeah, because they're heavyweights. You see my point?
Yeah.
So that's the point I'm trying to make, is that as a heavyweight, like, Ennis is a very powerful, guy at his weight class. And I think he's a guy that you just don't want to mess with, in my opinion, because of his size, his girth, his strength, and more importantly, his ability. Because even though he's a naturally bigger guy, when you drop down to lower weight classes and you're cutting down weight, you got to have skill, because these guys, even though they're smaller, are quicker, they're faster, they're technical, and it's the bull matador type thing, right? I can box, I can try to stay out of the way, I can avoid big punches. It's so much harder to do that when you're 6'5", 230 to 280 pounds as a heavyweight, right? So, Fred, what's good, man? So that's the point that I was trying to make. And that's why I always tell people when I go on these panels and talk about Wilder Fury, I don't do it anymore, thank God. But when I did, I would tell them, they would say, well, Divine, I don't know why you like Wilder, because he's not technically gifted. He's not like the most technical fighter in the heavyweight division. Fury arguably is more technical, which I'm like, I don't know about that, but okay, maybe a little bit more technical, right? But the problem is that, not the problem, but the fact of it is, for me, is in heavyweights, I don't look at heavyweights like I do at lower weight classes, because it's just different, right? If I'm going to tune into a heavyweight match from the 70s, I'm going to be a fan of George Foreman. He's a monster, right? Every time you step in the ring, you're like, damn, like, what he did to Joe Frazier is like, what?
Dropping bombs, man.
Right? And it's crazy, because we saw what Frazier did to Ali, the wars that they had. And as soon as Frazier goes in there, he's throwing Frazier around like a rag doll. And to me, that's why heavyweights are different to me. And that's why I was connected to Wilder, not only because of his story, who he is as a person. I believe in what he represents. I have such a high regard for what he's accomplished, starting boxing so young, and what he has done for his family, for himself, for his community, but also because of the gift that he possesses, which is power in the heavyweight division. And that's what I always tell people, that if he's gone for good, if he says tomorrow on Twitter, hey guys, I've had a great career, I'm retiring, and that's it, we're never going to see Wilder again, I'm telling you right now, the heavyweight division is going to enter an ice age. And it's already starting to happen. And don't be surprised if Fury and Dillian White is boring as shit. Hugging, clinching, grabbing, pulling around, right? Couple big punches here and there, goes 12 rounds. Oh, Fury by decision. Don't be surprised. And that will be the new era of heavyweight boxing. And then after about 2 or 3 years of that, people will say, damn, are we going to get another guy like Wilder?
What do you think about the Jared Anderson kid, though, like, coming up? I think he's like the last hope for, like, American heavyweight.
He's really not the only one, honestly, but there's like plenty of other talent out there. I'll use like Dakari Scott. Who's that other guy? Stephen Big Shot Shaw.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Jermaine Franklin if he gets his discipline together. And then who else?
I like Jared Anderson, by the way. I feel like he could be the next.
I think he's
thing,
the closest. Yeah, I think he's the closest.
But it takes time though, bro.
Right.
I mean, it's gonna take time to basically fill in those footsteps that Wilder has created for that type of ability. I mean, when people tune into heavyweights, what do they want to see? They want to see knockouts. That's why they buy the tickets. That's why they watched Mike Tyson. I mean, that's just the way it is. And then when you have Tyson versus Lennox or Tyson against guys who have boxing ability, it's a chess match. It's like battle of styles, and it's all good, right? But somebody mentioned Beth Animal or Aniel. I'm not sure how you pronounce your name, but yeah, Usyk. I like Usyk a lot. I like Usyk a lot, and his abilities. But he's not okay. He's in the heavyweight division, but the dude is a cruiserweight. There's a difference. And I would love to see how much longer he lasts in the heavyweight division. I really, really do. I think he beats Joshua in the rematch. But, I mean, against Fury? I mean, you're talking about a massive size difference between Usyk and Fury.
And we got to remember, Usyk's going on, 36, 37 now, coming up?
Yeah, he's getting up there in age. Don't know how this Ukraine-Russia situation has taken a toll on him emotionally. We don't know how he's going to come back. Yeah, we just don't know all these little small unknown factors. But at the end of the day, stylistically, his abilities as a southpaw, slick, all that great stuff, love it. I loved what he did against Joshua. Trust me. And I loved predicting that Usyk was going to beat Joshua, and all the Joshua fans came in here going batshit crazy. You don't know nothing about boxing, mate. What are you crazy on YouTube talking about boxing for, mate? But Usyk is just styles make fights. Usyk was a bad matchup for Joshua. Bad.
Yeah, very bad.
Too slick, too fast, too smart, too much of an IQ, and it was just bad. And I don't see much of a difference in the rematch.
And I think with that situation, my bad. I think with that situation is Joshua isn't who we thought he was more than Usyk was a bad matchup. I just think he wasn't as good as we thought he was.
Could
you
be.
feel me?
Could be.
I'm just thinking if smaller guy, like you said, he was tricky. He was probably his most unorthodox opponent. But it seemed like Joshua didn't have any dog in that fight. Like, okay, let me get it together now and get this kid out the way. Smaller guy, you know what I'm saying? And Joshua just looks like he's the type of that guy that can get him off of him. And he just didn't. Like it didn't make any sense to me. So it was like Joshua isn't who I thought he was.
Yeah, it was weird. It was a weird fight to watch. I mean, even though I thought Usyk was going to win, I was expecting a little bit more of a fight, from Joshua, that is. I don't know if it was. I can't say the bright lights because he's been in big fights.
Right.
I don't know maybe he was overconfident. Maybe he thought that he's too small for me and I just got to land one big shot and it's over. And he found out that it wasn't as easy to hit him as he thought it was going to be. And it just went downhill. And he couldn't see. The thing about Joshua is, even in the Andy Ruiz fight, in the first fight, he got cracked and it went downhill because he can't make adjustments. Joshua can't make adjustments. He gets his feet in quicksand and that's it. That's a wrap.
And when he dropped Ruiz, like when Ruiz got back up, he jumped right back in trying to drop him again, and Ruiz caught him with a punch from heaven and equilibrium just went to shit. He wasn't calculated when Ruiz got back up. He just jumped right back in to kill him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But look, gentlemen, let's finalize. I know it's so easy for us to just ramble off stuff about boxing all day, all night long. But let's go ahead and round off this Spence and Ugas fight. Go ahead and drop our final predictions. I thought that maybe I was trying to hold on a little bit because I wasn't sure if Ricky Williams or Drew Titan was going to be able to make it, but it doesn't look like they will. So it's all good. We'll go ahead and wrap it up, close it in, and then the video will be dropped. If you guys came in a little bit later, you guys can go back in and listen to the things that we talked about. We talked a lot about the fight stylistically, how, especially for me, because I'm that type of person, I like to really break it down inch by inch, frame by frame. And we talked a lot about what Ugas can do, what Spence can do. Now all the talk is done. And I know a lot of channels have been chopping this up for the past 48 hours, but Judgment Day is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. It is upon us. Saturday night. It is going down. Can't look forward to, I can't wait, rather, for the fight. I'll be back on here commentating live as I always do, especially for big fights. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. You don't want to miss it because I get hyped. I break it down. I judge round by round. my own scorecards, and I put my own kind of flavor and everything behind my commentary, which a lot of people thoroughly enjoy. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and drop our final predictions, because I think a lot of people's just been waiting, because we haven't really. I think people think we're leaning a certain way, but we haven't really said, all right, this is how it's going to go. This is what I'm predicting. And we have a lot of people on the edge of their seat, especially for me, because I like to keep people tense, I guess. So I'll drop it with K-Rod first, and then swing it around to Plat Boys, and then I'll finalize it. But I do see my man 78 in the building. What's good, 78, bro? I appreciate you stopping by. Says what it do, Divine, in the panel. Salute to the chat. Thank you for the super chat and the respect, 78. Always good to have you in here. And of course, I'm waiting to jump on one of your panels very soon, 78. Appreciate you. So we'll stay off with K-Rod. No more beating around the bush. Let the people know, man, who do you got in this fight, and a little bit about why, and give a prediction. By the way, it's a pet peeve of mine when people are like, "Oh, I got this fighter winning." Well, what round? Like, what's your prediction? I don't know. He's just gonna win. Nah, fuck that. This is boxing. You got to leave a prediction. That's what it's all about, right? All right. This ain't basketball, right? This is boxing. So tell me who, how, and a little bit of why. Go ahead, K-Rod.
For me, I got Spence, just simply because I think his style is a lot more dangerous to combat against Ugas, and I think honestly this fight is not going to go the distance. I got Spence knocking out Ugas in one round, just simply because Ugas, he's just way too limited of a fighter just to leave himself wide open for shots that you can easily tell that but the most educated fighter would not take a lot of shots. But for Ugas's case, he just gets hit way too much to the point where imagine if some of those losses that he took, that he actually got hit by like heavy-handed punchers, I think Ugas would very well get knocked out, because it's like, like it's not like that Ugas has like a good chin or he can take punches very, very well. But I do think that if you put him in there with a style where a guy like Errol Spence, who is heavy-handed and he is very, very dangerous on the inside, that could actually hurt you to the point of breaking you physically and mentally. I think that's what makes that type of fighter a lot more dangerous to decipher a guy like Ugas. So I'm definitely going for the knockout, EJ KO by round 1.
My man.
Ooh-wee.
I was holding it in. And I'm not laughing at my man K-Rod, but I can't help but just saying, like, damn, my man just said, hey, you know what, man? EJ in 1. Fuck it. It's happening, bro. And wow, what a result that would be if it is a KO in 1. Wow, y'all heard it here first, man. And let me say this: if Errol Spence knocks out Ugas in 1 round, y'all got to go and give some props to my man K-Rod, because right here on Firestorm, Divine Sense Boxing, he predicted it. So I will say that. Wow. But Plat Boys, prediction, how, why, let the people know.
I'm going. I'm not going first round, but I'm going Spence by decision. I just think Spence ring generalship and punch output is just going to be too much. I do expect some drama at some point. I expect Ugas to win maybe 4 rounds, but I think overall the way Spence commands the ring and the fact that he doesn't stop punching is going to be the difference in this fight. And Cassie saying Ugas did better with Sean than Errol, that's a whole nother debate because the Errol and Sean fight was like a lot more entertaining. It was what I'm looking for as a boxing fan. So I mean, I'm giving Spence the advantage by decision, and I don't think Ugas can deal with the barrage of punches he's going to have to go through.
No doubt. Hey, and 78, while you're in here, let the people know who you think you got in this fight. Maybe you've already mentioned it on your channel, but I haven't caught it yet. But anyone else in the chat too, this is drop your prediction time right now. We've got 2 predictions already by the panelists, and I'll go ahead and drop mine. Don Dada, what's good, bro? I see you. And before I do that real quick, just to kind of let you guys know one more time where the poll is, 45% says Spence by decision, 41% by stoppage by Spence, 12% is Ugas by decision, and we have a lonely 2% Ugas by KO TKO. I wonder who that was. Look, let's get to it, man. You guys know how I do it. I like to keep you guys on the edge of your seat. I always hold my predictions all the way into the end. I know you guys get frustrated sometimes. I definitely don't see Ugas knocking out Spence. I want to put to the side any speculation about his eye or any other, damage that he took in the car accident. Like that's not going to be relevant in this fight, I don't think. If it is relevant and Ugas cracks him in the eye and all of a sudden he can't see and his eye explodes, I will be shocked. I would just, I wouldn't know what to say. I would be completely speechless, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I do want to put that out there. As far as a prediction, I do feel like it is definitely going to be a chess match for at least the first 4 to 7 rounds. I think it's going to go back and forth. I think they're both going to have some moments. I think what we'll start to see is Ugas having a difficult time landing anything significant, not flush, but anything significant. I think he'll be able to get some punches in there. Spence is not a defensive genius. He does get hit, especially when he overcommits and tries to step forward a little bit too much. But what I think we'll start to see is where Ugas starts to figure out, like, I can't really hurt Spence. And he's going to feel the size of Spence. He's going to feel the strength of Spence as we get into the middle rounds. And if it's round 7 where we start to see and really feel that shift, Ugas may have put 2 to 4 rounds in the bank. You don't know. Maybe he's boxing well. But ultimately, I feel like Spence is going to start to take command, land big power shots, start to, his confidence is going to start getting to a really high level where he feels like this guy can't hurt me, man. And I'm going to walk through a shot to give a better shot. And I see a late round stoppage, probably like 10-11 for Spence. That's what I'm feeling right now. And as far as a decision, I think if a decision happens, I feel like actually Ugas, if he's able to get enough rounds in the bank, I can see Ugas actually winning the decision here. I think a lot of people may think I'm crazy, but I can see it happening. I can definitely see it happening. If, like I said, if Ugas is able to figure out a way to pivot to his left, or let me put it this way, pivot and move to his left while throwing the right hand and staying away from Spence's left hand, I think he's got a chance. But that chance is slim, in my opinion. And I still think Spence being able to figure it out. And Spence is just, the problem is Spence is just so good, man, as a southpaw with his right hand. He's so good. I mean, his jab is crazy good. His right hooks to the body are crazy good for a southpaw. It's so hard to outmaneuver him to his right because he just cuts you off. So that's what I got. I see Drew Titan coming in here right at the last moment so he can drop in the prediction. So, Drew, we're just finalizing the stream right here. We're just dropping our predictions. So you're able to at least get your prediction in before I finalize it, bro. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. This traffic out here is retarded. And I just got caught up, man. It was crazy, man. But I'm glad I could make it, man. Thank you for having me on. I'm forgetting my tardiness, man.
What up, Drew?
How you doing, bro?
Yeah, it was good, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. K-Rod was good, man.
How's it going?
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. All right, my prediction.
Hey, before you continue, I don't know if you caught it, but our man K-Rod predicted Errol Spence by KO round 1. So,
oh shit!
So that's what we have to be aware of before you
said
come in
that-
here and drop your prediction.
I said that
and
on
just
Drew's channel
Yeah.
earlier. So
All right, so
Oh, okay.
he's not joking. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
So
not
his
joking.
prediction was KO by 1. Just to recap it, Platboy says it's going to be a decision for Spence, and I officially have Spence by late stoppage. A
Yeah.
close and technical fight, especially in the beginning part, but I got Spence getting that late stoppage.
My prediction, I got Spence unanimous decision with Ugas getting in trouble late in the fight, like say around 7, between 7 and 10. There's going to be some very decisive factors happening. Like, you know how the fight with Errol and Sean was close until I believe, what was that, round 11 when he dropped him? Was it 10 or 11?
10.
It was round 10. Yeah, so he dropped his ass, and that was the deciding factor. The difference here is Errol is motivated. He's definitely in shape. Both of those men are in shape, man. Did you see the 12-pack that they had? Jesus Christ, man. Those guys are shredded. They're in shape. They're ready. I don't want to hear anything about this car accident. The car accident, the Ferrari's on Errol's box wreck. Errol won, TKO. All right, that's over now. The eye, it seems like they're relying on these injuries to stump him in some way, shape, or form. But I was telling people earlier, these technology today is just amazing. It's just amazing. He said that his eye that they had the surgery on is more stronger than the one he was born with. And I believe
And
him.
he said it multiple times. Like
He said it multiple times. Yeah.
You got to take the man for what he say. You know, if he says he's fine, he's fine.
Yeah. And I don't think he would be in the ring if he felt he wasn't 100%. And I don't think Derek James would allow him anywhere near ring if he wasn't 100%. If he was insistent, I don't think Derek James would have a part of it. You understand? So Errol is fine. There's no excuses. You know, I just think that it's going to be the first 3 rounds is going to be pivotal. Don't be surprised if 3 rounds, either those will be swing rounds or you see Ugas in it. He'll be up 2-1. Then Errol will put the gas pedal on him. And I got like the second half of the fight, which means anything past round 6. I think because Ugas is a strong guy, but he doesn't have enough power to make you second think anything. You understand what I'm saying? And I think Errol is just a goddamn machine. I swear to God, when he retires, we're going to find out he was really a Terminator, and it's not going to be fair. I mean, how the hell you get thrown from a damn car and only
Errol seriously does have a fucking 12-pack, bro.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, man. I said, oh shit, he's in shape. And Ugas is in shape too. Ugas is in shape,
Ugas looks confident to me. He does look very confident to me.
Listen, those Cuban fighters are tough, man. This is just another day in the park. They're not. I've never seen a Cuban fighter get shaken, scared or nothing. This is what they do. That Cuban school is a very well respected school, and salute to Ugas. And this is no shade. Salute to Ugas and all the Cubans out there. I just don't think he's going to win. Of course, the disclaimer is this is boxing, and anything can happen. I'm just picking Errol to win. I think it's going to go to the cards, but Errol will win UD with late rounds. The championship round is going to be a deciding factor. Like Ugas might get clipped really bad, but make it out the round, or get dropped like at 11 or 12. But I think round 7 through 11 is going to be pivotal. And I think that's when Errol will, I think by then Ugas will say, you know what, this guy's a little stronger and he's touching me up and he's a little bit of a better boxer than I thought. Because the thing with Errol is I appreciate the fact that they call him the Tim Duncan of boxing. There's nothing flashy. He doesn't have like anything that stands out like when you first saw a Roy Jones fight. You understand? He's Mr. Basics, but he excels at those basics better than people give him credit for. And
he's a winner.
Like he's a winner. And like Floyd Mayweather said, it's different when you're in there. There's something about his style that, like, for example, like when a Mikey Garcia got in there, I mean, the funny thing for people to say was, well, you know, whatever Mikey says he sees, I see it too. All right. But see, the thing is, Mikey got in there and he was like, oh shit, what I thought I saw is really not there. So what I'm gonna do now? And he did the best he can, to the point where wherever he got out of round, he was just pumping his fist like, thank God this shit is over. And I gotta do it again. Round 10, remember, they was asking Mikey, did he want to quit? In round 10 of that fight, listen to the corner, because that was the only part I heard in English. I believe it was in English, but round 10, they almost stopped it. And Mikey got his ass beat. And Ray Leonard had to send Errol an apology. Like, yo, look, man, I thought I saw something. And these pros, all those guys should know that it's different when you're in there. So Errol's not flashy. There's nothing like that stands out that makes you want to, you know, like when you first saw Roy in his prime, when he was Superman at 175. I mean, he's doing things that's completely wrong, and he was getting away with it. Errol's not that guy. He comes in with a guard. His defense is underrated. His power's underrated until he hits you. You know, until he hits you. I mean, the guy walked away from the car accident. No tune-up. I want Danny Garcia. And that was a fight I was on the fence about, because I said, man, I don't know if he wants to fight Danny after getting thrown from a damn car. And Danny hopped on it. And then by the time it was round 4 of that fight, he was like, oh, shit. It's not what I thought.
Bad decision.
Bad decisions. both Garcias. You got a Mexican Garcia and a Puerto Rican Garcia. Both of them walked in that fight. In the middle of that fight, they was like, yo, oh, my God. It's not what I thought it was going to be. And this is going to be another example. Yeah.
Yo, by the way, who's in the middle of these two guys? Who is this guy?
I believe, I forget his name.
The NFL. Oh, sorry.
I believe there's a guy. I don't know if that's him, but there's a guy that Errol spars a lot, and he's a heavyweight. But I don't think that's him. But there's a guy, from what I heard, I got to call Blu-ray and ask. There's a heavyweight that Errol spars a lot. And like I said, Errol is like that silent killer. I mean, he's not talking. He's never screaming, nothing like that. But look at his face. I said it earlier. He's like the kid that just transfers to the new school, and he looks like a twerp. And the big motherfucker goes over there and tries to bully him, and he just whoops the big dude's ass. And it's like, oh, shit, where'd that come from? You understand? This dude's a killer. He got that weird-ass smirk. He's kind of creepy. Errol's kind of creepy, man. He got that weird-looking smirk like, yo, I'm about to fuck you up. Like, what? Why are you smiling, though? What's funny?
You know, it's like that. You know, that's a good point, Drew. Like, it's that kid in high school that shows up to basketball tryouts, and everyone's like, man, fuck this dude. This dude, he ain't shit. And all of a sudden, he started dunking on people.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, saying he's a Cowboy player.
I had a kid like that in junior high school. His name was Calvin. I'm not kidding when I tell you he was like 5'1" and he could dunk on the regulation rim. He was like a circus act, and the teachers, and this was junior high school. The teachers was like, how's he getting up that high? It was just ridiculous. I mean, he was just an athlete like that. He had no jump shot for shit, but off the fast break, we threw him the ball because we would just watch him like, how is he jumping that high? He was literally like 5'1". It didn't make any damn sense. But some people, they just athletically gifted.
Yo, Drew, look at this steal shot.
What the hell is Errol smiling at? He's creepy, dude. He's creepy.
Look at Ugas, though.
That shit's scary. Like, I'm about to fight. It is. What he's smiling at? Shit ain't funny. And look at Ugas.
Yeah.
Like, Ugas is looking like, what is he smiling at?
Yeah.
Yo, dude, I'm telling you, round 7. Watch round 7, y'all. Watch round 7.
And his, when I do these type of predictions, right? Like when I look at a guy like Ugas, it's so hard for me to go against him because of that Cuban boxing school, and just I know what he brings to the table. And what I love about this fight is that Ugas, he's been here before. They've both been here before. So we're not looking at this situation where it's like, veteran versus a young champion coming up, or a young prospect or something like that. Oh, he might be a little bit too green. Now, these are two distinguished welterweights who are both champions.
Yes.
That's what I love about this fight, where there's no speculation of one fighter not being ready. What this fight will come down to is one thing and one thing only, is skill, and who will bring it and who will win. There's no other factors, no no injuries, none of that shit. And I was saying earlier, Drew, before were you able to come on, I was saying that I don't want to hear any BS about Ugas not being good enough.
Right.
I don't want people saying, oh, well, he beat an aging Pacquiao.
Nah, I'm not
y'all
hearing
weren't
that.
saying that shit when Pacquiao beat Thurman's ass.
That's right. They were
So
celebrating.
I don't want to see none of that. I want Errol to get his respect, especially if he either A, knocks Ugas out, or B, beats the brakes off of him for 12 rounds. Like
Listen.
I don't want to hear none of that. Oh, Ugas, he just had a belt, but he wasn't that good. I swear to God, I'll lose my shit on here if I start hearing that shit.
Let me give Ugas his roses right now, win or lose. Win or lose. He is a problem. He is a problem. This is boxing. That's my disclaimer. I'm picking Errol to win, but this is boxing. Ugas is very capable of, dare I say, effing this whole thing up with this Bud. And Errol knows that. Errol said, I'm not going to talk about Bud until I'm done with this. Because Ugas is very capable. He can come in here and win and be like, yo, I already beat Bud. I'm going to do it now. Ugas is not, it's not a game. And he's not afraid. He's just staring at Errol. But it's not a game. He's not backing down. He's come to fight. All right. He in my opinion, I've watched the Sean Porter fight at least 12 times. I really thought he won that fight, man. I really thought he won that fight. In the Pacquiao fight, nobody was even thinking about him, not even Pactards, who showed that they stuck their head out the ground for a little bit after he beat Thurman. And Ugas went in there and beat him like a drum. And he wasn't even to see his plate of grits properly in the morning. Jinky had to feed him the grits in the morning.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And if look, Ugas can beat anybody at the weight, which is why, if this plays out the way I feel it's going to play out, don't you dare discredit Errol. And you know what? In the event Ugas wins, I don't want to hear nothing about Errol's eye or the car accident. Mm-hmm. Both of these men are 100%. This is a great matchup. To me, this is a throwback matchup. This is what boxing is about. This is what we need.
Yeah, man. This is Hearn and Leonard's. Hearns.
It's right up
Leonard.
there. It's right up there. As far as the heart is concerned, I mean, these guys aren't on that level of legend yet. But I get what you're saying. This is right up. When we look back, this is one of those fights because this fight is supposed to be leading to something bigger for both men. If Ugas wins, he goes on to face Terrence. If EJ wins, obviously he's going to Terrence.
It's all about the top. Well, the reason why I made that comparison is because it's the top welterweights of this era fighting each other.
Correct.
And that's what Tommy Hearns and Leonard and all those guys did. Is they're at the top and they all fought each other. And eventually, when it's all said and done, and the dust is settled, and we know who the best is, then they are at the status of the Hagler, the Hearns, the Leonards, and all those guys. And who knows what's going to happen after all of these guys fight each other and we have one champion or one undisputed. That guy, whoever it may be, decides to go up to 154 and conquer up there too. We don't know.
I mean, between 147 and 154, actually from 147 to 160, there's so many fun possibilities that can happen.
Oh, it's a lot of fights.
So many. And this, I like to have conversations like this because this is a fight that's actually freaking happening.
Right.
And I'm done with the what ifs and crap like that. This is the last stop towards Bud. I already explained the only thing that can stop the Bud fight at this point is if he actually signed with this MTK Global nonsense.
I want to
go ahead.
Sorry. I just wanted to highlight this comment by George. He says, they say Spence takes satisfaction in beating his opponents at their own game. So, Divine, how do you see Spence win it? Now, I think he's saying this because there is some truth to that. For example, when he fought Porter, he was trying to beat Porter at his own game. Like, he tried to go toe-to-toe with Porter, which I didn't really understand at the time, to be honest with you, because he didn't need to do that, really, right? But he did, because I think he wanted to prove a point that nobody can outwork me. Not even Sean Porter. Sean Porter can't outwork me. I'm going to get into the pocket, and we're going to bang it out, right? But in this fight, I think that we're going to see a lot. I think we're going to see a very patient Errol Spence, especially early. I don't think he's going to overcommit. I think he's going to try and because in my mind, I think that Ugas is going to be a little bit more active early. He's going to try to work the jab, go to the body, go to the head, test out the right hand, check the range. And Spence is going to be in his high guard, catching, occasional body shot, occasional step in with the jab for at least the first 2 or 3 rounds. As a matter of fact, Ugas might win those rounds. Right?
That's what I'm saying.
But the thing about Spence is that he's that cannonball, right? It takes a little while for that fuse to go down, right? And the thing that I love about Spence is that he catches, and then he might just paw out to the jab, and all of a sudden, boom, he just lands a big shot to the body, right? And he can be going for the head, and you cover up, and it goes straight into the solar plexus, right? And the thing about Spence is then all of a sudden he starts putting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 punches together. And that's why, and it's an accumulation. He doesn't start off with big combinations. Spence never starts off with big combinations. It's 1 big shot, 2 big shots, 1 big shot, 3 big shots. And eventually he gets you where he wants him and he goes for the kill, right? And so that's what I see. I see this fight early going Ugas' way where people might be like, oh, shit, Ugas is moving.
Yeah.
Ugas is picking away. He's throwing these punches. He's getting these rounds in. And then all of a sudden, you'll see Spence start to throw hellacious shots on Ugas, and then it's going to get deeper and deeper into that situation. And like you said, Drew, that's when Ugas will be like, wow, this kid hits hard. He's strong. He's a big, strong welterweight. And like you said, it's going to be that realization of it's different once you're in here. And to go off your point just real quickly, you brought up Mikey Garcia. I thought and I expected Mikey to do a lot better than what he did. I really did. And I think he's a very talented fighter. But I think it's exactly what you said it was, Drew. The simple fact that it's a different weight class, number one. And Mikey, quite frankly, bit off a little bit more than he can chew to go up against a bona fide, real welterweight like Errol Spence. Secondly, it came down to, getting hit with those shots and getting hit with those big, strong welterweight shots. And just at that point, it's like, I can't let my hands go like I can at 130 and at 135. Because if I do, I'm going to get knocked out. Fighters know this, by the way. They know this. When they get hit with the shot, it's like, oh, shit.
Yep.
Like, if I get hit with that flush, I might get knocked out. Like, every fighter at some point in their life, if they started young or late, it doesn't matter. In a fight or in sparring, more than likely has been dropped at least once in their life. Rather it's been by a body shot, a head shot, whatever it is. Because when you spar, sometimes you fool around, it gets heated, you don't protect yourself how you should, and you get clipped. It happens all the time. I've seen it many times. Right?
Body shots are the worst.
Yeah, 2 dudes they got a little beef or they got a little competition going on and they've been sparring for a long time. One guy gets a little bit careless and he gets clipped or he gets a body shot and they go down. That's right. So every fighter knows where their weak spot is. And if they get hit in that weak spot by a big, powerful punch, it changes a whole complexion of the fight, right? Especially if you're a smaller guy like Mikey Garcia moving up in weight. But at least in this fight, Ugas is a real welterweight as well. So this is not part of the conversation, right? He should be able to take at least to some extent Errol's best punches. I'm expecting it. I'm expecting him to eat some big punches in this fight and take it. I am.
Yeah.
But how long can he take it, I guess, is the question.
Unless it happens like how K-Rod's predicting. If it goes down to round 1, I'm just going to be shocked. I'm just going to be shocked. I'm going to be speechless. Like, what the fuck did
Me too, man.
Platboy is going to the fight, Drew. So my question for Platboy is, if Errol ended in 1, did you get your money's worth? Because it only lasted 1 round.
Oh, I just want the win. Like, as long as he wins.
You just got there, got your popcorn, got your Coke, and it's over.
Yeah. I might ask for
I know.
$100 back. Let's split it in half.
That's
Give me
gonna be
$100 back,
crazy.
man. But yeah, that's
But yo, watch this. Did y'all factor this in? How y'all gonna feel if this shit go 12 and it's a draw? I'm gonna be pissed. I'll be like, yo, come on, dog. What the fuck?
I don't need nothing
see
else to push
Bud
back
go out the back
Crawford
door.
fight.
Yeah, I'm gonna check everybody's post fight after that.
Oh,
I'm gonna be
man.
confused. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, I do. And I'll tell you this much though: if it goes to a draw, Bud got to do something to stay busy.
Yeah.
That's another topic.
Is there a rematch clause in this fight?
Spence said he don't know, and that was kind of weird to me.
I don't know either.
Probably, if I'm a guess, maybe on Errol's end, but not on Yordenis' end. You know what I mean? Because Errol's going straight for Bud after this. You know what I mean? So
Well, I was saying before he came in here as well, Drew, that the only thing that I want, and I don't really demand things very often, but if I'm going to demand one thing by Errol Spence, if he wins this fight, is grab that microphone when he has the opportunity and say, Bud, I'm coming for you.
How about this?
That's what I want.
Why? I don't know why Bud wouldn't just show up. He ain't got nothing else to do.
That's what we were talking about earlier before you came in here. And Platt Boys was saying he heard that Bud is not planning to be there.
Oh,
it's crazy.
Man, I think
which
you
is
should
crazy.
just show up, man. I mean, show up, man. Come on,
Yeah,
just do it. Thrill us, man.
I hope he's lying. Like, just show up, bro.
Go in the ring. How about that? Go into the ring like Fury did against Wilder before they kicked off their whole trilogy. Step in that bitch and say, hey, Ugas ain't me, bro. Like, I got you. Like, I'm gonna whoop your ass.
He was at Errol's fight before. He was at the Garcia fight, was he not? The Danny Garcia fight.
He was there. Yeah. And Errol was at the Porter fight too.
Yeah. So I mean, just show up because that's the last step. That'd be so dope. Show up, face off.
Like I say, if he shows up, double my ticket price. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's some classic stuff I want to see. Like,
well, him getting in the ring. Yeah, exactly. Him getting in the ring and calling out Spence right there, or them calling each other out. Number one, it's like I was saying earlier, where the promoters have no choice but to make that fight now. Like, it's signed, sealed, and delivered. At that point, it's just sign the contract, right? Because now you got the casual fans involved, let alone the diehards, right?
Man,
so
he stepped in
and then that could be the highlight of the night. Let alone if Spence wins by knockout. That's like great and all that, but he's the favorite. He's supposed to win. Cool, but the fact that Bud shows up ringside and was like, "Yo, like, you're next. Like, everybody thinks that you're better than me. All the talk, we'll put it to rest. Let's get the fight done late fall, whatever, October, November. Let's make it happen. Boom. And then that's it, right? That's what we want as boxing fans. And I was saying earlier, Drew, all this shit about going at each other's throats for so long between Bud and Spence fans, all of that shit won't matter no more.
Not anymore, yeah.
If Bud does that. If Bud doesn't show up, and media is trying to track his ass down, he looks suspect. Period.
Yep.
Right.
Period.
He ain't got nothing else to do why not?
Bro, he's stepping in the ring.
You know what? I'm going to look at the cup half full instead of half empty. He's going to be there. Or if he's not going to be there, he's going to be on somebody's Skype, or he's going to call Errol on the phone or something. And be like, yo, or show up at the post fight and be like, yo, here I am. We got next.
Cool.
I mean,
George says Thurman will be there.
Oh man, don't wish that on this.
Don't duck me, son.
You better not duck me, son.
Don't duck me. Don't duck me, Errol.
Man.
Hey, if Crawford show up and get in the ring, like, they're gonna secure an extra 300,000 pay-per-view.
Oh
buys.
yeah. That sells itself. And I'm not gonna crap on Bud. I mean, I think right now this is a sensitive situation. At this point, all I want is a fight. You know what I'm saying? So I want them to sign it. And I'm telling you, see, once they sign it, once it's etched in stone and we get a date and a venue, then we could talk about who wins or not. Right now I'm just fed up. I don't want to talk about the business anymore. I don't want to do it. You understand? But once it's etched in stone, and Bernie gonna be on everybody's platform. I might invite Bernie on my shit just to get him on there and just talk shit. Talk your shit. The fight's happening now.
Yeah.
Talk your shit.
But that fight's gotta happen in Vegas, though, right? There's no way. It has to be in Vegas. It's too
well,
big
well,
not to
I
be in
mean,
Vegas. They won't do it. Bud won't do it in Texas. I
he
guarantee
won't.
you that. I don't think so.
I mean, if he do it in Texas and he says he's gonna beat Errol ass, what if he go to Dallas and do it in his backyard?
Ooh.
And do it what? And do the Alamo Dome?
Yeah. What if he do it in his backyard? That's balls right there.
It is.
balls right
I
there,
mean,
yeah.
shit. I give him credit if he does, but I don't think so. I don't think the promoters want that. I think
don't
they feel
think
more
so.
comfortable. I think they feel more comfortable being in Vegas, making a big fight out of it, neutral grounds, and do it that way.
Oh my
Especially,
God, the atmosphere for that fight, wherever it is going to be ridiculous.
bro, like that. I got to come back to the States for that one.
Yeah,
There's no
I'll make
excuses.
that one too. I'll make that one too.
I really
Yeah,
would like to go.
Yeah. If they like after this fight, granted that Errol wins, because he gotta win, y'all. He gotta win. Yeah, Ron, I see you, man. And you're entitled to that opinion, Ron Sizzle. I see you. You're entitled to that opinion. But
there's
the
a
only way we
couple.
find out-
There's a couple of them. Odelio as well. I see you, bro. Ron
Listen,
Sizzle.
I'm
I see you.
not mad at anybody. I'm not
He
mad.
got to
I
show
don't
up though,
hate
bro.
Bud. I'm not
He
mad
got
at
to show
anybody.
up to the fight.
Yeah, man. All I want is the fight. And the dopest thing in the world will be for Bud to get in the ring and be like, yo, we got next, fine. And then 3 weeks later, we get a date in the venue, and then we can get on here and talk about who wins and why. That's the type of time I'm on. That's peace right there. That's all I want. You know what I'm saying?
But
And
that's what
contrary
I
to
tell
popular
these
belief,
dudes all the time, bro. I had to go on BFTB's channel like a couple months ago when he was having to shred these trolls, and I told him, I was like, bro, like woosah, right? Peace, patience, love, because it doesn't fucking matter, bro. Because if these motherfuckers ain't signing shit, what does it matter, right? It doesn't. That's why I never get worked up about it ever. Like, you know, I say it maybe once or twice and I leave it because these dudes are gonna do what they do. Only thing that I can do is put energy into things that I know that are going to happen.
Let me tell you a true story, though. Let me tell you a true story. When we was in Vegas, right? I was in the MGM. Bernie walks up. He said, yo, don't I know you? I said, yeah, Bernie, you remember me. Right? So me and Bernie's talking. Well, and Bernie's he's not a big guy. Well, he's not to me, he's not a big guy. So I'm talking with him, and he was all cool, right? So I say, yo, y'all signed to fight Sean? And at the time, he's like, I don't know yet, right? But he said, yo, man, we're going to beat Sean. BFTB was standing like 5 feet behind me. And I know he heard and saw him. BFTB was like, where y'all beat Sean? He said, I got to see it, homie. And he's talking over me. And I'm like moving out the way, like trying to move. And Bernie's like standing in front of me. I'm like, you don't see BFTB right behind me? You don't see him right? I said, okay, fine. You don't see him. He's right behind me. You don't see him though? Okay, so me and Bernie had a conversation. You know, it was all peace in there, man. But, you know, one thing I'll give Bernie is that he ride or die for his man. All right, sometimes he overdoes it, but, you know, listen, I ain't mad at him. And when they signed this fight, Bernie, you know, he better maintain the same energy and keep carrying those pom-poms. And I'm not being disrespectful when I say it, man. I'm just being honest, man. Just do your thing. Just do your thing and ride for your guy. Because what I will say is Bud versus Errol is for the culture. It's for the culture. And that's what I was saying. And you see that belt he got, those belts? Mm-hmm. I don't like no sanctioning bodies because I can't stand them. I don't trust any of them. WBA, the WBO, WBC, IBF, the PBC, the top rank. I don't trust anybody. MTK, Pro Bellum. I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anybody. But what you're seeing right here is two great fighters today mixing it up. This is throwback right here. Errol versus Bud, two throwbacks. We need this. That's what we need. And this ain't no disrespect to Bud. This ain't no disrespect to Errol because they're supposed to have fans split down the middle. But what I'm tired of is talking about you got active fighters in their prime right now, but these are just dream fights. Fuck that. They're active. Let's fight, man. Come on now.
Yeah.
Let's go.
100%. 100%. 100%. And that's why I give a lot of respect to Spence. You know, he's fought a lot, man, in the welterweight division, bro. He's fought a lot of dudes up in there. And there's not very many names left that are like in his era for him to really claim that he's absolutely the best.
Oh, shit. Wait, Errol got on Black Air Force Ones?
Yeah.
Somebody said that. Yeah.
He gonna win. He gonna win. He gonna win. Book it, man. He gonna win.
Somebody said that earlier in the chat.
He got on black. I just noticed that like just now. He got on black Air. It's war. The black Air Force Ones, y'all, is like Marvin Hagler wearing the war hat.
Yeah.
Over. It's over.
Now he used to wear. Marvin Hagler used to show up in combat boots.
Yeah, oh man.
Remember that shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just noticed that.
Yeah,
I just noticed that. Holy, it's a wrap.
Black
You got
short.
on
He's
black
wearing
Air
all
Force
black.
Ones,
He's like a black
smart
ops.
like it's beef. It's over with, man.
Wow.
But salute to Yordenis,
Wow.
but he's taking the L. Yo, if K-Rod is right, I'm gonna laugh, boy. Oh my god, I'm gonna laugh so hard. Like, yo, what the fuck? Round one.
I'm gonna be shocked. That's what
Yeah,
I'm gonna be.
You know
I'm
what?
gonna buy K-Rod lunch Sunday.
You know, everyone does post fights and shit.
Please.
They're gonna be like, wait a minute. This post fight's gonna be kind of early. Wait a minute.
But
Man.
here's a question, just real quickly for the panel, and I know we got a couple Filipino fans in the chat. I wonder
Salute to them.
what.
Salute to them.
Yeah, for sure. I wonder what they feel. You know, I guess every fan in the Philippines may be a little bit different. I have some Filipino friends, you know, where I'm at and across the world. And a lot of them want to see Ugas win because they want to feel like, you know, if Ugas wins, that shows that he was beat by the best, or as in Pacquiao. Pacquiao was beat by the best, which I guess that makes sense, right? If you beat Spence, it's like, well, yeah, maybe Pacquiao did get beat by the best. And if that's the way you look at it.
Right.
But I've also heard of Filipino fans saying, fuck this Ugas dude. He beat our man Pacquiao, so we want Spence to beat his ass. So that's an interesting perspective. I don't know. Maybe some of the Filipino people in the chat can speak on that, but I've heard both.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend type of thing.
Right.
Look, man, it's if you think like that, to me personally, that's just sour grapes. Look, Manny's a legend. And I'm not talking about bullshit aside, because I've been so critical of Manny, but it's over now. And what's etched in stone, what's on paper, it is what it is. He's a Hall of Famer. He has nothing to hang his head about. He lost to the bigger, younger, hungry Cuban, and that's just it. You fought to a great fighter, and that's you lost to a great fighter, and that's just it. And it's okay. It's okay. Manny got flatlined by Marquez. He came right back, and who'd have thought he wasn't supposed to lose it? He wasn't supposed to win against Keith Thurman. I hope y'all know that. He was not supposed to beat Keith Thurman, and when he knocked Keith Thurman on his ass in the first round, I'm in my living room laughing like I don't believe it. I said he blew it. It's going 12 because I didn't think he was going to knock Thurman out, but I said,
oh, bro, it took me back like 10 years of like watching Pacquiao.
Yeah,
you know, I was like, damn,
man, when he hit the Ali shuffle, man, I threw my goddamn cheeseburger in the air. I said, did he just hit him with the Ali shuffle? I said, the fight's over. They can stop it right now. Then he hit Keith in the ribs and he had him doing the electric slide all around the goddamn ring. I said, come on, man. Now don't get me wrong. Keith had a lot of moments in that fight. It was a close fight.
Yeah, he evened it out at the end. Like
at the end he did. Yeah. He shined at the end, but it wasn't supposed to go like that. So Manny has nothing to hang his head about losing to Ugas. He just lost to a younger, better guy. And you know, look, I don't want to turn this into a Manny, you know, thrashing, you know, thing. But there was a lot of guys that gave Manny problems, even in his prime. They just steered Manny away from him, and that's all I'll say about that. Just remember, I was here for the whole thing. I was here for the whole thing. There was a lot of guys he didn't fight, and just because you celebrated don't mean you're great. And I'm not trying to discredit him, but his career, you know, they Top Rank has the best matchmakers possible. I can't even believe that's a job title, matchmaker. What do you think that is? And you already know about the NBF chalkboard in the Top Rank offices. That's true. That happened.
Yeah, okay, you put me on game right there.
Oh yeah. And it exists. Ask Cameron Duncan. It's for real. All right. There was a lot of fights that Manny could have fought. I'll give you a prime example. He came up in weight. He fought David Diaz. He didn't fight Juan Diaz. That's a totally different fight. You understand? Little things like that.
Huge
All right?
difference.
It's
He beat the shit out of David Diaz too. It was embarrassing.
That was ridiculous. But the baby bull Juan Diaz, that would have been a problem. Okay. And but again, I don't want to bash Manny, but what I am saying is to his hardcore fan base, y'all don't have anything to hang your head about losing to Ugas, especially if he so happens to pull this out against Errol. Don't hang your head. Just say, "Oh, see, he was really that good." That's what you say.
And Drew, I'll just say this because you know more than anyone that I was in the whole heat of that situation that was happening back. Right. So I'll just say this, right? Despite what people may feel about Manny Pacquiao, and the reason why we're speaking about Manny Pacquiao because once upon a time, Manny Pacquiao was a welterweight, the same division that we're talking about tonight. The whole reason why, or sorry, the one thing that I'll say is this. Despite what you may feel about Pacquiao, and I've had my critiques of him over the years, I'll tell you that. I'll be the first one to admit it.
Wait, hold on.
But there's a reason.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Don Dada says Juan Diaz who got knocked out by Marquez. Yes. Before that fight happened, when Manny came up in weight, he could have fought Juan Diaz. He didn't do it. Juan Diaz was an HBO fighter, and he was on fire.
I remember that.
And he gave Marquez all he could handle, and I believe they fought twice. But Juan Diaz was 10 times better than David Diaz. And the matchmakers took care of that. And that's what I'm saying.
Right. Well, there's even more examples than that. But I'll just say this. There's a reason why, as big of a Floyd fan that I am, as a boxer, by the way, there's a reason why Floyd was cautious the way that he was cautious in fighting Manny Pacquiao.
Yep.
And there's also a reason why Floyd, despite all the things that he said and done against Manny Pacquiao, ended up fighting him anyways because it was too much of a miss for his legacy. That's the type of credibility that Manny Pacquiao has. Right? That even Floyd, with all of his arrogance at times and all of his like, oh, I'm the best ever, ego, still swallowed his pride and ego and made sure that fight was going to happen, and it did happen, right? I always thought that Mayweather was going to win, but there's a reason why Mayweather chose the path that he did in regards to fighting Pacquiao. You want to get into like the blood testing and all that craziness, I would say that I've always supported the idea of Olympic-style testing across the board, even before Mayweather brought it up and try to make a thing out of it, right? I was always saying we need to have it because there's too much cheating in the sport, and like it, hate it, or love it, Mayweather's out of the sport. Cheating is now coming back into play more than ever before.
Bro, don't get me started.
But when Mayweather was doing the random Olympic-style testing, blood and urine, fighters were scared, even though they weren't even fighting Mayweather. But the fact that it was happening with the best fighter at that time, people were like, oh, shit, maybe that, people were way more cautious back then. And we had different types of cheating, like Margarito putting bricks in his gloves. But as far as, EPOs and performance enhancing and steroids and shit like that, it wasn't really happening for 5 or 6 years. You didn't really hear about it. You
know what I love, though? I love how they call Floyd a coward for 5 or 6 years for winning OSDT. But they celebrated Nonito Donaire for volunteering to be tested like that. Come on, man.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I mean, come on. They celebrated Nonito, and salute to Nonito. I was at Radio City when he fought Regal. I was there for that. I was like, oh shit, Regal's for real. But listen, they celebrated Nonito because he said, there's cheating in boxing. So I'm gonna volunteer for this OSDT. And they celebrated when he did it, but then they called Floyd Mayweather a coward for insisting on it. So these are just the biases that I'm talking about. But what do I know?
Yeah, but what about with like even if they get tested, like certain like WBC or whatever, like certain sanction bodies like just widen the goalposts. Like,
man,
that's the thing.
It was T. It was T.
Yeah,
that
it's
was
four
an
Red
accident.
Bulls and stuff
4
like
Red
that.
Bulls, and you can go
like-
ahead and fight.
Exactly,
I mean,
but it's on the ban list. Like I thought it was
Yeah.
just one this way or no way. You know,
and what you said, Divine, is actually true. The cheating in the sport is actually deeper than just PEDs. All right, because don't look now. Y'all always hear me say time reveals all truth. And you see what's happening over there with MTK and / Pro Bellum and this Tyson Fury thing. Now, mock my words. Didn't I tell you? And Diana Branch is in there. We talk behind the scenes. God won't be mocked, man. I tell you, man, just give it a minute. All right. All of these things. Tay Jones told me what happened after the second Wilder fight. He told me what happened, and I believe him. And all of this stuff started to come out. Now watch. Everything that we said with this dude, as soon as we found, because we wasn't checking for no damn near fucking Daniel Kinahan over here. I didn't know who he was. And then I see this goddamn documentary, and I was blown away. Like, wait a minute. This guy's official. This guy's the real deal. They refer to him as a cartel, the leader of a cartel, for fuck's sake. So if this guy's in charge of all of this stuff, cheating in the fucking boxing, that's nothing. And then Barry McGuigan talking about, yeah, this guy's a murderer. They're shooting up damn weigh-ins over there. And this guy happens to be good friends with Tyson Fury and then MTK Global. And then he hasn't been involved with it, allegedly. But then Pro Bellum spins off from that. And who's with Pro Bellum? Who signed a deal with Pro Bellum? Lou DiBella, who now works with George Kambosos. And Devin Haney got to go to Australia to fight this guy 2 times. Y'all worried yet? So come on now. This is what we've been talking about for the last 3 fucking years. This is what we've been talking about.
Shout out to Devin for like having the balls to go to Australia, because I'm telling you right now, like that's what I was telling people a couple of weeks ago talking about this fight, was that it's not that Devin is not a better fighter, and a lot of us, including myself, thinks that he should win the fight, but he's fighting in Australia.
Yo.
Don't go to
in
the cards.
Australia. Okay. So anytime you have a 12-round fight, it's a problem when you're fighting in somebody's not just backyard within the same country, which is a problem here in America, but in another country entirely.
Yeah.
Right? Huge problem. So what does that mean? Devin's got to knock out Kambosos. That's what that means.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And Devin's not like a devastating puncher, right? It's not like you can put a bunch of money down and have the confidence that, I mean, and George is tough. George was able to take big punches from Teofimo Lopez, who's one of the biggest punchers in the division.
Yeah, at round 10, it was almost over.
Yeah.
So he is tough, right? So Devin's either got to knock him out or knock him down several times, and make it so ridiculous to where they have no choice. But like if it's a boxing match and Devin's looking smoother and outpoints him, they're fighting in Australia. There's a reason why this whole method behind this madness, right? Everyone's saying, well, George has earned that right. Well, I originally said that, George, I guess, has the rights for himself. Not promotional companies put to the side, but George himself. You go in, you win the belts. You want to bring a fighter to your hometown. I can understand that. But the problem is this, right? It's the slow play. It's the rematch clause. It's the, I want to make sure I get paid enough. Oh, it's like, it's all these little details that start coming into play where it's like, well, it's not just that you want to fight in your home country. It's a lot of other shit too. Right? So that's what you guys have to look out for. And I think, it opens a door in a way for Devin to kind of show people that I'm not just a boxer, but I can go into somebody's backyard and actually stop someone. And I think that we may see a real and new Devin Haney that we I want to say we're desperate to see, but we are looking forward to see, so we can stop the detractors and the haters from saying that Devin, he's kind of a good boxer, but he can't hurt nobody. Right. So if he's able to do that in somebody else's backyard, well, there's no longer any argument. So for Devin's sake, we want to see that. And Devin also knows that in a way he's got to do that. But he's going up against massive odds here. Right. It's not only it's not just a tough fight. It's so much more than that, man. And it's crazy. It's great. And I just want to say this real quickly, that the way the world is shifting right now and everything in life, right? It's crazy when I really start to sit down and think like, wow, what can boxing actually become? Because we're having conversations right now, like right now, as we're on this panel talking about boxing, there are people behind the scenes, and it's starting to gain momentum of people saying that women should fight against men.
Oh, man.
Or trans people should be able to fight with men or against women or whatever, vice versa.
Yeah.
That's what people are talking about right now, right? It's no different. It's all fun and games, and it sounds nice, right? It's like, oh, yeah, equality and all this shit, right? But as soon, it's just like drugs. It's just like EPOs and steroids and all these other performance-enhancing drugs. Why we get so upset? Because it's all fun and games. It's all cool and shit until somebody gets killed.
Yep, that's right.
Or seriously injured. And I've heard panels out here on YouTube, and I'm sorry because I get lit about this shit. I heard panels out here saying, oh, well, most fighters, they're trying to cheat anyways. They're always trying to find ways to cheat anyways. So we might as well just let fighters take whatever they want and everybody's on an even playing field. Oh, yeah, great idea. Now all of a sudden we start losing fighters. Husbands are dying. Brothers and fathers are dying because you want to support this.
Or you're going to allow your daughter to go in there with a tranny.
Exactly.
With a transgender and get killed. Because that's a possibility now. You know what I'm saying? I just put up my video of a 2-year-old Good Morning Britain, some lady arguing for transgendered rights. And I'm like, look, man, what you do and how you feel is your business, but you got to draw the line somewhere. And one of the lines you draw is sports, especially combat sports. This guy mentioned, he said there was a transgendered woman at cricket breaking all kinds of records, but when he was a man, he was a bench warmer.
Looking last place.
Okay. In my video, I said, yeah, what if, just feel me on this. I use Tank Davis as an example. What if he disappears for 24 months, comes back transgender, but now he wants to fight fucking Clarissa Shields? Who wins that fight? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I don't care how much estrogen pills he popped. All right. You got this, and it's funny because the video I put up, the woman was on there talking about the man says, what if Anthony Joshua, because this is a British guy, right? He said, what if Anthony Joshua for 12 months takes these pills and now he's transgender? The lady says, well, I think there's like a weight difference. Then he said, okay, Floyd Mayweather, he's 147 pounds. What about him? Would you allow him to compete? And then she said, yes. And he said, this is absurd. And it is. Listen, look, men are men, women are women. Biologically, we're stronger than them. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. Okay? I told a story on my show about this little Puerto Rican kid. He was all of 5 feet tall. Maybe if he was 110 pounds, that was a lot. And this big, giant, 6 foot tall black chick got mad at him in class. And then after school at the bus stop, she pressed him and he buzzsawed her ass. Tripped her up, threw her on the floor, punched her all in her face. He kicked her ass. And he wasn't the toughest kid in the world, but he did say to me, I'll be damned if I let a woman kick my ass. That's what he said to me. We had to pull him off of her. We was like, yo, hold on, dude, hold on. And by the time the teachers got there, you know what they told him? You are a boy. That is a woman. I don't care if she outweigh you by 200 pounds, legitimately. And she learned the hard way. And I hope she took that lesson for the rest of her life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's a WNBA and an NBA for a reason. I want to see the illest bench warmer that makes league minimum on any team in the NBA turn transgender. He will go to the WNBA and be a fucking all-star.
80 points a game.
80 points a game, breaking records, and they will lock it in. It's a man. Cut it out. There is no, and I'll go on record saying this, there is no pro female fighter in the world that can beat me in a fight. In the world.
And FYI, I'm a father of a daughter, and I love to empower my daughter to do great things, to accomplish her dreams, if it's sports or whatever it may be. And I'm all for I'm all for personally, like girls wrestling with boys, 9, 10 years old, whatever it may be. But there's a line where you draw where I ain't gonna try to have my 16-year-old daughter wrestle a 16-year-old boy.
Once they go through puberty, you can draw that line, man.
That's it, right?
It's different.
So and I've been coaching kids a large part of my life, right? There are pros and cons. And I've seen under 18 women, girls soccer team, totally demolish under 15 boys team. They beat them not through power and strength and speed, but through tactics, right? They're smarter. Women or females in general know how to play as a team better, especially than young boys, because young boys, they all want to be fucking Jordan. They all want to be Messi. They want to do shit solo. Girls know genetically that they don't have the same physical abilities. That's why naturally they can play better in team sports, especially when they're playing against boys. I played street ball before. I played with girls before. Do you think a girl's going to try to post me up?
Hell no.
Really?
I hope not.
You try to post me up? No, she's going to pass that shit smooth and pass it off to somebody else who's going to lay it up behind me. And you know what I'm saying? Like people. But the thing about it is that we're actually talking about boxing. We ain't talking about basketball and soccer and tennis. We're talking about boxing, right? It's crazy that we've reached to a point where we're starting to have these conversations. But like I said, it's all fun and games until somebody gets killed. But see the problem that I have is, and for me, let me set the record straight. For me, I don't care what you want to be. I really don't. I've lived long enough in this world already and have seen half of the world already that I've seen it all, right? If I go up to you and you don't dress the norm, you don't look the norm, and I meet you, we greet each other, and you say, my name's Mickey Mouse. I'm like, all right, cool. What's up, Mickey Mouse? How you doing? How do you identify? Oh, I don't identify as anything. I'm just Mickey Mouse. I'm pansexual. I'm whatever. I'm like, cool. I don't care. If it doesn't hurt me, I don't care. Personally, right? But when it comes into my personal space and it affects my life, like if going back to my daughter, if my daughter is 15 years old and she wants to get into boxing and they say, oh, hey, by the way, the person your daughter's about to fight, well, it was a boy, but it's a girl now. It's a girl. So don't worry. It's a girl. It was a boy, but now it's a girl. And they're about to go 6 rounds.
And that's my question to all these people that are arguing for them. Would you want your daughter, your niece, your female cousin in there with a fucking man? Because Phelan Fox fractured another woman's skull. That was a man. And as far as how people feel and gender, all right, watch this. I'm 46 years old, right?
Right.
Tomorrow I want to identify as a 25-year-old. Why can I not be 25? Well, because you was born in 1975. There's no way. No, but I identify as a 25-year-old. I want to play video games all day. I'm going to quit my job and stay home. And I want to be, I'm going to move back in with my mother. I'm going to be 25 years old. Why can I not do that? It's physically impossible. I don't care how much surgery you have or whatever. These people have to take estrogen pills, and the Jimenez wants to be a dude. She got to take those these hormonal pills, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And what you want to do in your private life is fine, but once you're in combat sports, it's a problem.
But you can't change bone structure. You can't change bone density. You can't change the fact that your DNA will always be a man or always be a woman, right? I'm all for, if you're born a man and you feel like, I should have been a girl and you want to transition, go for it. Go for it, right? It's more women for me anyways, so fuck it. Go for it. But the thing about that's just me. That's my own personal belief, right? It's my own personal belief. But like you said, there has to be a line drawn because now our children in this generation, in the generation that my daughter's being brought up in right now, is what I'm concerned for, right? Because I want her to know that there's a difference between a boy and a girl, a man and a woman. And as much as I want you to be a young, powerful woman and to be able to defend yourself if you have to in the street, if a man attacks you, I want you to be able to use self-defense to get out of a situation, not to fight a man. I always tell my daughter today, you ain't trying to fight. You're trying to survive. If a man attacks you, you trying to hurt him quickly and get the fuck out.
That's right.
You trying to prove something? Oh, I just landed a nice strike to the throat. Let me stand here and wait for him to recover and so I can fight him.
Bro, I've seen so many women. Oh my God, the 90s was something else, man. I don't know what happened, but there was women walking around thinking that they could really square up. Now, how many women ran into those dudes that were just not gentlemen, that could not walk away? And I've seen them give warning. They're like, bitch, you get away from me. I don't play that. And they raised up. You know how many women I seen get knocked out? And I'd be like, oh, bro, come on now. Please stop. Please walk away. Oh, and she's starfish on the floor.
Oh, man. I've seen
Just
it too.
It's teeth. I've seen teeth get knocked in all directions. It's messed up. But I'm like, yo, what was you doing hitting on him and raising up? Like, he wasn't going to hit you back. And their ideology is, listen, I don't take that shit from no man. What I'm going to take it from her for? Now, me, I was Mr. Leave a chick screaming in the street by herself. I'll just walk off. Because I am entirely too big to be hitting anybody out of self-defense, unless it's self-defense. You understand?
Yeah, just get them off me.
Yeah, come on, just get away from me, man. You know, I had one chick charging me with a knife, and she paid for it. She paid for it. My hands is fast. She paid for it. You know what I'm saying? But listen, man. You know, look.
I'm the same. I had a chick throw a fucking lamp at my head one time. And it was one of those, like, you know, one night stands, you wake up and you're like, bitch, get out or something. You know, I ain't in the mood. And, you know, I was being a jackass. I ain't gonna lie. But, you know, she was like, well, fuck you. And she grabbed a lamp and tried to throw it at my head. Now, luckily, my reflexes are on point. And I've had a few other girls try to buck up, try to get all up in my face and like, you ain't gonna do shit. And it's like, you're right, I won't. But you put your hands on me, we're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
Right. And when you look into a woman's soul and say that shit, a lot of times they know what time it is. They can yell and scream all they want, but they know if they try to put their hands on me and try to hurt me or harm me. I've seen women try to eye gouge men.
Yes.
Try to gouge their eyes out with these long ass nails. And guess what? I've seen a bitch been body slammed, choke slammed in the middle of the street.
I seen it at the club. It was horrible.
Right. It's nothing fun to watch. It's nothing to clap our hands at and beat our chest at. But the fact of the matter is that there is a very distinctive difference. And because like this idea that women can fight men now, it's like, well, it's crazy because there's that sentiment, right? But then more and more women are arriving at hospitals. And then it's like, oh, women are being abused. Men are too toxic. Men are abusive. Bro. It's like, well, hold on a second. You're the ones that are saying that men can fight men or women can fight men now. I'm confused. Which one is it?
What's the satisfaction they get, though? Like, even like a transgender, I guess, woman fighting another real woman. Like, what satisfaction do you get beating a woman in a physical activity? Like, I don't understand at all.
Well, hold that thought. Check this out, though, Plat Boy. It's like this. We're men on a panel. There's not one woman on this panel other than maybe Deanna, maybe someone else in the chat, right? But we're all men talking about this. How do you think the women, like real women athletes, feel about this shit? Because I'm passionate about it, right? Because I'm a father or whatever, and I work out with female athletes all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I hear female athletes talk about trans, coming into women categories and all these different things, like, you want to talk about passion. It's not passion. It's outrage.
Yeah.
It's outrage. Because it's and William made a good point here earlier in the chat. He said, imagine trans men going, or I guess it's trans women, women transferring over, or men transferring over, rather. Sorry, and they start breaking records that women set.
It's happening now.
Swimming records, track
swimming
records,
It just happened.
Weightlifting records. Women work their whole lives. They dedicate their whole lives from a young age, going up to junior high, high school, getting a scholarship. Boom, go to the Olympics, set records. Here comes a trans woman who has trained as a man most of their life, transitioned, took a bunch of estrogen. Oh, I'm a woman now. Now I've broken this record that this woman set in 2006 for whatever it is.
Imagine your daughter working so hard at swimming, right? And she got to take the silver. And you're looking at the times, and you're like, the previous record, my daughter beat it by 8 seconds. But this transgender athlete not only beat my daughter, beat the world record by 25 seconds, but he put that fucker out of reach because that was a man in there. So if this transgender person wasn't there, my daughter would have had gold. The person who had bronze would have had silver, and the person behind the person with silver would have placed. But now there's a dude in there that just nipped and tucked. It's not right, man, and you can't make it make sense to me. This is outrageous. But listen, I gotta run. I gotta do the paperless of this podcast.
Yes, sir.
No doubt.
Hey, yo, this is a good topic for you, Drew. This is a good topic for you to talk about.
Oh man, listen.
And I would love to be on it and continue it.
I think there's something that we shouldn't ignore, especially in combat sports. I'm telling you, there's gonna be a trans boxer that's gonna be wanting to fight one of the champions that we support, and we got to stop this shit before it happens. And I don't want anyone. I don't care who fights for their rights. You just ask them if you had a daughter, or if it was your wife, or your niece. Would you allow them to get in there with some transgender Jaime Munguia looking ass? Stop it, man. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Alejandra Jimenez.
I think at that point, that's where the women should not participate.
They shouldn't participate.
I'm
like, I'm looking at it. I was like, oh, there's a problem right there. My boy was like, what? I said, oh, she has a dick.
And to finalize this whole point, Drew, before you go, is I was listening to a debate on YouTube about this very topic, and it was a panel of straight men, straight women, lesbians, gays, trans, everything, right? Like 15 people. And it was very interesting. But one of the things that the trans people said about this very topic, and it was an athletic panel. It was athletes, right? And one person suggested that trans people should have their own category, right? Y'all can just duke it out in your own shit. Y'all can have your own category, right? And this one trans person got so upset. It was like, how dare you categorize us? You know, how are you going to put us in a special category? Because that's what you do. That's how you categorize races or heights or weights or creeds or colors or whatever it is. You're categorizing people. We don't want to be categorized because we get hated against even more. Well, it's like, well, how do you want it then? You know what I mean? It's like, so you don't want to have your own category and you're going up against other trans people. You want to continue to go against women. I understand the slippery slope where you're a man, you become a woman, and you're an athlete. You like to play sports. So you're trying to find your place. You can't go against men now because you're taking a bunch of estrogen. I get that. Mm-hmm. But you can't necessarily go against women either because you're not a woman. So why wouldn't you want to have your own category against a bunch of transgender athletes? And the way that the society's shifting now, you'll get people to watch it.
Yo, logic is 100% correct. Mike Tyson right now can say I'm trans and wreck everything in the females division. Wreck everything right now. Mike Tyson right now, he's almost 60. He could come out retirement right now as a woman and beat everybody's ass.
Vander Holyfield.
I mean, come on. Everyone will be like, well, that's Mike Tyson. So what? No, it's Michelle now. Deal with it. Trans. Who's fighting? Ridiculous. Wow. Yo, let me go, guys. Yo, I'm going to talk to y'all.
Yeah, man. All right, bro. I appreciate
Good to talk to you, Drew.
Man. Yes, sir.
Good, Drew.
Well, it's good to have you guys on here as well. We kind of went off into the deep end a little bit, but that happens when Drew gets on here.
It's all good, babe.
But it's all good, man. And look, it's all out of love, man. And I have a lot of passion, and I know that, we have different generations too. We have to realize that. I think all of us on this panel are probably, separated by, at least 4 or 5, even more years, right? We all have different generations. And that's another power struggle that's happening right now in the States, right? Is these different generations finding a foothold on how they view the world and how things should be accepted and this and that, right? For my generation, I'm like right in the middle of the old and the new.
Yeah.
That's my generation, right? So
That's
I
where I'm
can
at.
see both sides, right? And I grew up kind of more leaning towards the old side. I grew up in a very masculine home, kind of conservative, kind of, that old way, that old style of thinking. But as I started to travel, luckily at a very young age, 18, 19 years old, my views changed, right? I adapted, I evolved, and I was like, oh, okay, I can see this side, right? But there are boundaries to everything in life. If you allow alcohol to take over your life, you allow it to cross that boundary, you are an alcoholic. No different than any drug, cocaine, weed, I don't care what it is. If it controls your life, you have crossed that boundary. There are boundaries in everything. We have to respect these boundaries, because if you don't, then people get hurt physically, right? People die when these boundaries are created in society for a reason. And I'm all for people want to be whatever they want to be. But the key point here is, as long as you don't hurt others, and you being gay or bi or trans or whatever it is, that doesn't hurt me, right? And I can continue to teach my child the way that I want to teach her and have that influence on her. So it's fine. Do what you want to do, right? But as soon as you come over and try to tell my child that, oh, hey, are you feeling kind of strange inside? Are you sure you're a girl? Now I got a problem with that.
Right.
Because now you're affecting my personal shit, my personal space. And that is my only way to explain it, to try to be as transparent as I possibly can. And, I've come into contact with many different people from all different walks of life, and that includes gays and whatever. I've been part of, Latin clubs and dancing and traveling, and you're just going to meet these type of people. And majority of the time, they've always respected me, and it's cool. We have a neutral ground, and we can move forward. And like I said, if it doesn't bother me, it doesn't bother me, right? So, unfortunately, now where it's starting to shift these last 10 to 15 years, where before, like when I was in high school and when I was in my early 20s, a gay dude, a bi dude, whatever it was kind of like, it was in that new generation of where, oh, you're gay, you're bi. All right, that's cool, man, bro. Just respect my space and we can be good. And people kept it moving. Where now it's like, no, I'm going to force you to accept everything. I'm going to force you this. I'm going to force that. And anytime you have force, then you have corrosion, you have other problems, and then you have tension, and then you have divide. Right? So that is what is happening now. Now it's much different. To the point where they want, what was it? What I heard the other day, gender neutral bathrooms.
Yeah, fuck that.
Oh man, no.
Gender neutral bath. You know what I'm saying? Like that. This is totally different than how I was growing up and how I started to see the world as a different place. And I totally agree, by the way. People that are grown up in a very sheltered environment and you only see one way of life, if you travel, if you expand, you're going to come into contact with some crazy shit. Okay? I promise you that shit, right? Because what we do over here in America, if you think it's crazy here, just go west, go east, go to Europe, go to Latin America. Like, it's a whole nother world out there, right? Way more liberal and open and all this different stuff than what it is here in the States. So it's healthy to learn about it, to understand it, so it gives you balance, right? But like I said, you got to maintain those boundaries. and that is my opinion personally. And that is not even throwing religion or none of that shit in there. And I know a lot of people do that, but I'm not even going to that extent. Please respect my boundaries, and please respect the boundaries that are put in place between a man and a woman, especially when we talk about sports in which women can be killed.
Yep.
And that's what we're really talking about. So
we're on our way. Like it's crazy. Something's bad gonna happen, man. And you know that, like I say, the women should just not participate. Like they got the ball in the court to like stop shit where shit starts. You know.
Yeah, you know, especially the big cities, L.A., New York, some other cities, the big, you know, liberal cities. It's happening more and more. And, you know, for me, for the most part, I watch from afar. I watch from a distance, and sometimes I cringe. I'm like, damn, you know, and it makes me want to keep my circle even smaller and tighter, if you know what I'm saying. Right? It's like I have to defend. I'm like in defense mode, where 10 years ago, 15 years ago, a bit more freelance, a bit more free flowing, a bit more fluid, having fun, meeting people, whatever. But now I feel like the pressure is mounting, right? People are really trying to step into my personal space and take over things that at one point I thought were precious to me are now starting to be taken over. And it's like, whoa, now I'm setting up a fortress, right? I got to really defend now, because I feel like it's starting to infiltrate closer and closer into my own personal space. Because before I can walk into an environment freely as a free man, walk into it, get exposure to it, understand it, and say, that's not for me, and keep it moving. But now I can't even walk anywhere because it's at my doorstep. Y'all understand what I'm saying to you? So
yeah.
If you guys aren't setting up your fortresses right now and defending your own and defending, if this is something that is passionate to you, then I highly recommend that you take this shit seriously, especially if you have children.
Yeah.
Especially if you have children. So, you know, we should allow our children to make their own decisions. It's kind of like, you know, my daughter's mom mentioned to me the other day, what are you going to do if our daughter decides that she's lesbian? I'm like, well, we're going to have a conversation, and I'm going to make sure that this is something that she has discovered on her own and not influenced. Right? Because that is something that we have to consider, right? Kids, especially in this day and age with technology and being on the internet and being on YouTube and all these different things, right? They're influenced by a broad spectrum now.
Yeah, it's even in cartoons and stuff like that now. So it's all in their face. Like the influence is there.
100%. So you have to acknowledge this and accept that it's changing. I remember back in the day when I was, 12, 13 years old, I would come across some fucking Playboy magazine that my uncle had, and I try to hide the shit under my bed. Right? It just like secretly look at it.
I did that before too.
You know what I mean? And just have it, right? But it's different now. Kids can literally 12 years old have a phone and Google.
Just go
shit.
straight to it. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Like crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's like I might have a dusty 1986 Playboy magazine that I just like keep under my bed, that it's like my little stash. And it's just, and you know, that's all you had, right? To look at women and go through your little puberty and have your little moments. Whereas now it's just readily available in
HD and in 4K.
Yeah, right.
And
imagine being a parent, right? Because you're torn. Because on one hand, you don't want your child to have this device. But on the other hand, you, in this day and age, you kind of have to. Because kids are moving around, they're traveling. The world's a crazier place. It's a more unsafe place. You want them to be able to call you if they have a problem. You know, so it's all about, you got to restrict their phones. You got to make sure they can only access certain things. You got to put all these parental whatever on it, and it's crazy. But even then, right? Even then, they can go to their friend's phone. and look at the friend's phone, right? So you can't really control it. So now parents are starting to face this dilemma, and it's tough. It's tough. Like, I try to implore my daughter as much as I can, like, yo, this phone is to play a few little cute games that you got on there, and it's to call me for an emergency. That's what it's for, right?
Right.
And it's going good so far, but I don't know how long it's going to last. So that's why, if children today, like my daughter says, oh, hey, Dad, I think I'm a lesbian, I'm like, I'll probably be like, what? But at the same time, I love her and I care about her, and I want to make sure that it's really, truly something that she feels inside. And kids and people in general go through phases as well. So there's just a lot to unpack there, and a lot to digest. And I never thought that we would go in this direction tonight, but I guess the point is that when we talk about boxing, I think it's important to, as a community here on YouTube, as diehard boxing fans in general, as much as we agree and disagree and agree to disagree, as much as we fight each other on here, sometimes we go at each other's throats. One thing that we should be able to come and reach common ground is that we got to protect the sport and not allow it to be tainted by this idea that women can fight men or trans women can fight women. And we have to keep it sacrament, right? We have to protect it for the future of these young girls who, quite frankly, are starting to be inspired. Young girls are being inspired to be boxers now.
Right.
And we want that to be wholesome. We don't want our young girls growing up be like, hey, Dad, I want to be a fighter. They're 12, 13 years old. And like, oh, well, you got to fight trans girls now. Right? Like,
No way
how am I supposed to explain that? Like, if my daughter loses, how do I explain that loss? Right? So that's my whole deal. What people do outside of boxing, I'll keep that for a bigger platform, a bigger conversation. But within boxing, that's my whole concern, is that boxing is sacrament. We have to protect it at all costs and make sure it's not infiltrated. And that's my opinion. But look, guys, it's been a crazy panel. I didn't expect to go this long, but it did. I was glad to get Drew here at the end. I appreciate you guys' time. I appreciate your guys' commitment. Thank you for your predictions, especially yours, K-Rod. And and guys, it is fight night coming up.
It's fight day.
Super, super excited. Can't wait. And I'm looking forward to coming on here and commentating live. Maybe I'll see Platt Boys in the crowd somewhere. If you see the camera, make sure you throw a salute, Platt Boys, or throw up some deuces.
Oh yeah,
we can point you out.
I'm gonna try to tap in. Like, I'll go live like through StreamYard and probably get you some footage of some boxers walking around or getting ready before the fight and stuff like that. And
on that,
I get you some move around stuff.
On that note, I'll try to go live maybe at least within 20 to 30 minutes before the main event starts. So probably check your YouTube to see if I'm online. If I am, come into the chat and be like, yo, Divine, I'm in the chat, or whatever the case may be. And then I'll send you a link so you can come in and just pan around, and we can chop it up with you as we get ready to start the fight. Once the fight starts, then I'll probably just let you enjoy the fight without having to worry about all that, and I'll just commentate. Right. But definitely, like, minutes before, maybe even the ring walks or something like that, we can have you on there so the viewers can get the feel of almost being at ringside.
Yeah, from my seat point of view, that'd be dope.
That'll be very, very dope. But I appreciate you guys. I know it's getting late for a lot of you guys. Get some rest if you're tired, and stay blessed, stay strong, stay positive. And I will catch you guys here. Errol Spence, Ugas. I believe the main event's going to start approximately 11 to 11:30 p.m. Eastern time, which will be 10:30 Central, and I guess probably around 8:30-ish over on the Pacific side. So look out for me. I will be here. And until then, you guys stay up, man. Appreciate you.
Yep.